Are you going to edit me down?
I ain't going to edit
Okay,
nothing.
I was getting nervous. I said, he about to call his sister to beat me up, child.
Well, today's guest, we be chopping it up.
Seriously, writing letters to Ghost Child. Now, I thought we stopped having imaginary friends when we was in kindergarten. He said, I'm about to write the letter to my invisible wife.
She's crazy. So without further ado, welcome to Dear Future Wifey podcast. My friend, Kendra G is in the building. You have a whole platform dedicated to singles finding love.
Yes. I talked to more than 15,000 single people.
Yep.
They never consider what the person they want wants. I just don't think you should have height requirements.
Yep.
Right now, your man's invisible. 5'9" is taller than invisible.
One more time for the people in the back.
You know, marriage, I think, might become a thing of the past, unfortunately. I don't think a lot of people want to be husbands and wives. I think people want the benefits that they believe a husband and a wife get.
I'm going to ask you a question real quick.
Oh,
Do you
God.
consider yourself a wife?
You haven't met a woman that could be your wife.
I always say I thought I did.
If you came on my show, I'm not even exaggerating. You would get 8,000 women that are like, I want to be your wife. You're going to hate me for saying this, but you know I'm going to say it. You know, personally, I don't think Laterras want to be nobody's husband, but I think we might get to that part in the podcast. I think the title of husband is more important for you than the reality. The love of Laterras, are there women that you are dating that you feel are strong contenders?
I would say, I don't like the way you just flipped this interview on me, Kendra G.
Well, listen, I wasn't trying to, but you
What
want
you
to
just
talk.
did. Oh, yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
I would say, Dear Future Wifey.
Okay, scripturally, the Bible says your Father has already designed and purposed you.
I experienced an invitation of God this morning.
So you got to become an elite decision maker.
Elite decision maker.
He said, because you are one fleshly decision away from losing it all.
Etched in my mind is what true submission to Christ looks like.
I gotta maintain that secret connection I have with God.
I'm so full and don't want to belabor this letter.
And I understand how important it is for men to disciple men, because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I've traded worldly pleasures to live a God-centered life.
The encounter I just had, I just need to rest in it.
Help us to be considerate, creative, and courageous lovers.
I love you. Your future hubby. Dear Future Wifey podcast, I'm your host, Laterras R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Go ahead, hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Slide over to Patreon. Make sure you subscribe there. We're going to be releasing some amazing content. Hey, listen. If you haven't signed up for the Tom Joyner Fantastic Voyage Cruise, what are you waiting for? We're going to be doing the Dear Future Wifey podcast live on the ship. This is such a dynamic partnership. We're going to set sail in October, and we want to see you there. Visit the link in the description so you can find out all the details. Use the promo code WIFEY and go ahead and set sail with us. Well, today's guest, we be chopping it up. She's crazy, so we're gonna have fun. She's a straight up nut. I just found out that I officially got her real phone number. I say real because there's levels to her dealings. You can just be a business associate or you can become her friend. And she ended up calling me or texting me and said, here's my other number, save it. I said, all right. And then she told me that I made it to friend. You know what I'm saying? And that felt special to me that I made it to be her friend. So without further ado, welcome to Dear Future Wifey podcast. My friend. I normally say homie, but my friend, Kendra G is in the building.
Thank you for having me. No, it's very true. It's so crazy because everyone has to start off with that number.
Right.
Because people crazy, right? No, for real. People are crazy and you will give out your number. Then you're like, they got my number. So I have one number. And then I was like, no, Laterras actually has passed all the tests. He's a good person. He's genuine. I could put him to the real phone number. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you made it.
And so you hit me up. I said, oh, so what's this number? You was like, hey, save this. and then you told me I crossed over to friendship.
You cross over to
feel
friendship.
so special. Is there some reward I get? Is there some confetti that drops from the sky?
No, I think you really cross over to a person I can trust and respect, right? Because the thing is, sometimes, I'm a public figure now, right? So the unfortunate thing is everybody I meet does not have good intentions.
Absolutely.
And not everybody can be in this world. And I need to know if time ends with us in this world, you not now on a blog, like I was at Kendra G house, so before you let people in, there's just levels. And I think that more so, I just trust you. If anything, if our dynamic, if one day, I know Laterras ain't trying to go off and talk about me and do all those things. So that's what it's more so like really about. But
I appreciate that. And so for people that don't know you, what I love about you is that you have a whole platform dedicated to singles finding love.
Yes.
And it becomes quite hilarious at times. What made you create the Kendra G? You have a whole dating app as well. So just go and tell people what you do.
So let's go back to it, because I host a dating show called Kendra G Singles. And I love this question because people say, well, how can you be single and host a dating show? The show wouldn't exist if I wasn't single. I created it during the pandemic. I was actually in a relationship. And then we ended up breaking up. This is like pre-mass. This is the month of March. We don't know what's going on. At this time, you can't go to your mama house. You can't go to your daddy house. It's like just quarantine in your own home. And I was in a relationship and we broke up. And I always say this is the truth. I felt like Will Smith and I Am Legend. I had a dog at the time. It was just me and my dog in my house. And D Nice was connecting us all via music on IG Live.
I remember that.
So I was like, you know what? If I feel this way single, I know there's other people that feel this way single. So I'm going to go on Instagram Live and I'm going to connect other single people. And literally I made like a post like, hey, if you single, jump on live tonight. I'm going to find you somebody. It was that basic. But the first night I was like, oh, this is about to change my life forever if I take it serious, because single people are crazy. And it was like, I come from, I have a 20 plus year radio and television career, which was basically all about celebrities, right? I've interviewed every Black celebrity you could think of. This was about regular people. It wasn't celebrity driven. It was about people who wanted to be on the show. You're an interviewer. Sometimes it's hard to chase down celebrities. So I didn't have to worry about that. I had too much. I still have too many people that want to be on the show. And then it was genuine connection. So it was like a gold mine, and we just started from Instagram, then we grew to Facebook, then YouTube, and then I launched the Kendra G Singles dating app. Last year, it'll be a year old on my birthday.
So what I love about that, I love to watch people's trajectory. You started off from radio. Let people know where you used to work, because you wasn't just on some little small station.
Oh no, I'm big time in the radio world. You know what I'm saying? So no, I worked. The thing with radio, and this is why, like, my life has never been average. I was moving every 4 years. So I worked in Philly. Chicago is where most people think I'm from Chicago, because I had such a long radio. My last place I was in, and I was in Chicago for so many years. So Chicago. I went to Hampton University, where I started my radio career while I was in college. I'm from Connecticut, Buffalo, New York, and I did television in LA, never radio in LA, but I was around this planet. I think I get every city. Yep, Chicago, Atlanta, Buffalo, New York, Connecticut, and I think those are all of it. Mm-hmm. And Philly. Philly was the other city outside of Chicago that I spent a lot of time in. Yeah.
And so you said you were coming out of a relationship when you created this platform.
Yeah, shout outs. You know what, baby? Thank you so much. Like, that was the best breakup ever, because I would have never created this show if it wasn't for COVID.
And that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, it would have never happened. If that breakup did not happen, Singles Live would not exist. Because, see, when the world's open, single life is pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
You get to move around. But because we were in COVID and you could not leave your house, it felt very lonely. And that's lack is what made me create Singles Live. So if it wasn't for that breakup, and it's so funny because I tell this story, I liked him, but I ain't like him that much, right? But let's just keep it real. But who wants to be?
I am sorry to this man.
He okay. He got enough women. He one of them guys that just got enough women to fulfill his life. But really what it was is I truly believe he was dealing with other women. So what happened is during COVID, you couldn't lie. Like you couldn't say, I'm about to go to dinner and be with my boys. Nothing was open.
Exactly.
So in order for him to show up for the other girls he was cheating on me with, he had to end the relationship. And he did try to come back, but by that time, and I remember I had a conversation. I was like, listen, you sure you want to do this? He was like, yeah, we're just arguing. He started an argument and I was just like, okay. And when we broke up, actually, to go even deeper.
What are you doing Thursday, April the 17th? That's what I thought. You're going to be joining us at the 5-year anniversary for the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Yes, in Greenville, South Carolina at Love Story Church. Well, why haven't you got your tickets yet? Go to dearfuturewifeytour.com. Listen, this is an event you don't want to miss. We're going to have a dynamic group of panelists. I'm trying to tell you. So far, we have the Grays, John and Aventer Gray. Now, you're going to get a chance to hear straight from their mouth what they've been through and the stuff that you heard on social media. Well, y'all know how I do. I'm going to ask direct questions and we're going to unpack what they've been through as a couple in hopes that you can heal, that you can start tuning your ear when you hear negativity or controversy, that you'll take on the heart posture to pray for your brethren instead of throwing stones. Matter of fact, I've seen some people say, I'm not even gonna watch that episode. I don't want to hear him play in her face. You see what I'm saying? I want to change the heart posture that we have towards our brothers and sisters in Christ. At least have an open ear to hear. Just hear. I have my boy, David Michael Wyatt. Special performance by him. If y'all don't know who that is, let me tell you, you must have been hiding on the rock or something. But he sang the theme song for the Dear Future Wifey podcast, You know what? I'll be releasing other names as the dates get closer, but go ahead, book your plane ticket if you're out of town so you can pull up on us in Greenville, South Carolina, April the 17th for the Dear Future Wifey podcast 5-year anniversary event. Is going to be absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see you there. DearFutureWifeyTour.com. What's up, Live fam? A lot of you have been asking me, when is our next getaway? When is our next excursion? When is our next vacation? Well, I'm inviting you to join me October the 19th through the 26th for the Tom Joyner Foundation Fantastic Voyage Cruise. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to be doing the Dear Future Wifey podcast on the ship. Can you believe that? Mama, I made it. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to set sail from New Orleans. We're going to port in Honduras, port in Belize, and port in Cozumel. Yeah, we're going to have an amazing time, and I want y'all to join me. They got payment plans available, so I want you to visit the link at fv2025.com. Fantastic Voyage, fv2025.com, and book your room because it's going to sell out and you're going to hear about it after the fact and you're going to DM me and say, Laterras, when's going to be the next one? And I'm going to be like, hey, listen, stop asking for the next one and be about this one. All right? So can't wait to see you on the ship. We're going to have an amazing time. 7 days at sea. Whew, 7 days at sea. Oh, I'm sorry, I digress. 7 days at sea. We're gonna have an amazing time. Can you believe we're approaching 5 years of celebrating the beloved Dear Future Wifey podcast? We've been on this journey to discover, uncover, and recover love together. We've cried together. We've laughed together. We've had some controversial episodes together. We've healed together. I thank you so much for being on this journey with me. As a matter of fact, can you do me a favor? I want you to go over to the Dear Future Wifey podcast YouTube channel, subscribe. I want you to record a video stating your name, the city, state, or country that you live in, and just share a brief statement of how the Dear Future Wifey podcast has impacted your life. Simple as that. Matter of fact, comment the word impact, and I'll send you a link and you'll be able to upload your video. Thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you so much for tuning in to my online journal. We're going to keep inspiring the world. And we're going to bring down these divorce statistics. And we're going to increase marriage rates in the Black community. Record your video, comment impact, and you will get a DM of a link that you can upload your video to. God bless you. And remember, don't stop loving.
So it was in March. My mother passed away March 29th. And it was like
that's
that.
my birthday.
It's her birthday?
March 29th.
See, I knew there was a Kendrick
My
spirit.
birthday is coming up.
I didn't know that.
My 47th birthday. So whenever this drops, my birthday, March 29th.
Okay, well, that's the day my mother passed.
Wow.
So it was also like that week. So even though we broke up, like that week, that Saturday, it was a Saturday that year, he didn't reach out. And after that, it's like, you the Walking Dead. Like,
you said he didn't reach out when your mom passed away?
Like, we had broke up a few days prior, but he knew that Saturday was the anniversary of my mother's death. And he did not reach out in any way. And at that moment, you now the Walking Dead. Like, you can never come back into my life because, for me, if you can't, anybody could show up on your best day.
Of course.
But if you don't show up if you don't at least check in and say, hey, I know we're not together, and it's already, you're dealing with COVID, and this is the day. Mm-hmm. So after that, it was like, he can never come back into my life. And he did try. Not even to go so deep. I had to get a restraining order. He tried so much. I had to go down to the police department because he kept calling. He was showing up to my place because, see, a lot of men do not accept no well. And a lot of men who have means, they feel like they could buy whatever they want. So they're very clueless when your money can't get you what you want.
Can't give you the access.
So, but that breakup was such a blessing because him being removed from my life is what made me go on Instagram Live to create Singles Live, which is literally I quit my radio and television career and now I run my own company that happened because of a breakup. And this is why those moments really could be the best moments of your life. It was really a gift that he did by getting out of my life. And he was a goofy anyways.
Goofy. You be killing me when you call people a goofy.
That's a Chicago thing. Shout out to Chicago. I got that from Chicago. That is the Chicago word. If you are called a goofy, that is the worst insult. And I know, and I gotta say goofy because you cannot swear. This is like church without the pastor. They said, Kendra, don't say. I had to ask, is this a swear word? I said, the word that begins with an H is a swear word? I didn't know that was a swear word. I didn't know the word that begins with a D is a swear word. So I was like, okay, I got to use my words. When you sit on this couch.
You said you could do it for about an hour, right?
About an hour, I got you. Because I like to cuss. I do. I thought about it. I've been able to give up alcohol. I could give up intimacy, but them cuss words, God gave me a cussing spirit. I'm good at it. If there was an Olympics, I could cuss somebody out. He gave me that as a gift. So I understand
you say you give up alcohol, you can give up intimacy, but them cuss words.
And sometimes, ain't nothing listen, and the word that follows. It's a complete sentence. I could close so many conversations so fast, but we in the house of the Lord.
So let me ask you this. This is interesting. In relationships, do you cuss at your dude?
I have. I mean, come on now. Relationships are real, right? I'm not like right now I'm showing up because this is a part of me, but in relationships, I'm very authentic. So if I cuss out, if you cause me to get there, you argue, of course, we've gotten into arguments where swear words have had to come out.
Would you be willing to offset that if you were dating a guy and he said, listen, don't talk to me like that?
Yes, I've had men that I'm thinking of one guy in particular, which is really an oxymoron because you do everything but cuss. I don't know, you don't do everything else but cuss. All of a sudden now you want to be. That's what you don't do for real, for real. Be with all women. But don't always follow the law, but you don't. Boy, get out my face. Get out.
Kendra, he's not here right now.
You sure?
Yeah.
He probably watching. They all be checking, child. This is on YouTube. He watching. Hey, just leave a comment. I know you got a fake page to leave comments. That's what they do. They become little stalkers, child. But to answer your question, yes, I can be respectful. Listen, I'm not a person that's just even you and I have discussions, right? And I'll give my point and you'll give your point, but I can respect and what is necessary for you, and I can honor that, right? I'm not this disrespectful girl. Yeah.
But you might be this is how I talk, so you just need to accept it.
Yeah, for the most, and I will say this, I don't cuss all the time. And I say this on my show. My show drives me to cuss. I be like, y'all the reason. And I'm going to tell Jesus, if I get to heaven, he's like, this is why, your application got denied and you got to go to other location because on this day you was on live. And I told him I done screenshot names. So I'm like, let me tell y'all something. If Jesus don't let me in the pearly gates because I had to cuss y'all out, I'ma haunt you. I got the names in my pocket. I did a whole lot about this. I'm got Jaleesa Red Eyes, Tony. Yup. Because y'all the one that drove me to be this cussing lady. So if I can't get in heaven because of my cuss words, y'all ain't going to have no peace of mind.
You said you did a screenshot of it?
Oh, I did a screenshot. And I'm going to take it with me to heaven. And I'm going to show Jesus, like, this is the why I had to cuss. Because, look, she came on my show and she had 5 kids. And she said she want a man who make $1 million and she ain't going to have sex with him. I had to cuss, Jesus. What you want me to say in that moment?
So let me ask you this, what you bring up a good point. You meet a lot of people that are delusional singles.
Yeah.
And so they have these levels, they have these unrealistic expectations of mates and relationships when they're not aligned with the very thing that they said that they want. It was a video that I called you. I said, why'd you do this? I was crying laughing. This man probably weighed, how much would you say he weighed?
I don't know.
But he was talking about his arm. He said that he wants a woman that doesn't weigh more than 175.
Yeah, I said that means as much as your arm.
And you said as much as your arm. And he said that he said, this man is sitting on this live talking about what he wants when he's the opposite of that which he desires. And you just sit there and you be taking this information in. What do you be thinking? Because you meet a lot of delusional people.
Right. First of all, I love that you use a guy example and not a woman example, because I feel like a lot of people focus on the delusional women that call me, but there's equally amount of delusional men. Like, it's just the men. I don't know what it is. People just want to focus on the women and their delusion. But I think overall, what I've learned is most people don't talk to as many people as I have talked to. Like, I talk to more than 15,000 single people. Yep. And I talk to a variety. Like, I talk to people who are very successful, some who may not be that successful. And everybody has this wish list. And I think people just they never consider what the person they want wants. That's where it really gets tricky.
Say that one more time for the people in the back.
A lot of people don't consider what the person they want wants.
That part.
And we're in a time now where social media is our gift and our curse. Like, you and I are connected all because of social media. But if there was no social media, we probably wouldn't know each other.
How do we get connected? It'd be interesting to
tell
people.
I have a private group. And there was a woman that said, in the private group, because some people don't want to be on my YouTube because they get so much criticism. Right. But in the private group, a lady was like, I want a man like Laterras. He hosts that podcast. And I was like, and I knew your podcast, but I'm not sure if I knew how to pronounce your name. So I was like, Laterras. And I was like, let me see. I was like, what's his name? Give me the IG, child. So then they gave me your IG and you were following me. I said, oh, he's following me. Yep. So I DM'd you. I was like, there's a woman, like, if you could just give her a shout out, like, and I didn't know Laterras knew me. So I was very humbled that you knew me. And that was how our kinship began. And what was even more interesting, this is how you know guys all in it, you were coming to LA like 3 days later.
Right.
So I happened to DM you and you were coming to LA 3 days later. And then we got together for lunch in person 3 days later. But that's how it all connected. But this is a woman and she lives in Charlotte, right? Or I think she lived in Charlotte, but you are her ideal man, right? So not saying that you're not an option. I mean, you haven't linked up. You didn't become her husband after that. But this is kind of what's happening is people want the dream man instead of the man that's in front of them. And I think people are seeing snapshots. They're seeing the glorious moments of somebody's relationship on Instagram. I always say this. If you see me post a picture, there's 300 other pictures that I took. It's the same outfit. Just them two made it to Instagram because the other ones weren't worthy. That's what marriage is. Marriage is showing you the highlight reel, the great moments. You're not seeing the ugly moments, and nor should you. Nor should you. But what happens is because you're not getting down in the nitty gritty, you're just like, oh, she got a car for her birthday. You don't know. He probably cheated, got a baby on the way. She's staying with him. And he's like, she earned this car for her birthday because she's going to stick by my side in the worst times. And Not saying that's always the case. I don't want to
Right.
just paint this narrative that you get prizes because you're dealing with madness, but that could be the case. And I think people, honestly, I don't think a lot of people want to be husbands and wives. I think people want the benefits that they believe a husband and a wife get.
That part.
Yeah, I get a lot of men on my show who are marriage-minded men, but they got a budget. Like, they're like, I want a man that's a provider. I get men that are providers, but the budget is $80K. Okay, that's what I make. You can move into this home. I already got the house, and I'll get these men, and then I'll see women say, he's so boring. Like, they call that guy boring because they're used to the outside guy. Well, the
Yes.
outside guy, yeah, he's fun, he's exciting, but he like being outside. He don't want to be in a house.
Absolutely.
He don't want to be in a house. So, you got to find that medium, or maybe just accept that, you know what, maybe I don't really want to be married. I just want the benefits. I keep rambling, but I just want to say this one thing.
No, that's good. You're dropping gems, everything. I'm loving everything you're saying.
Yeah, I have a friend. Most of my friends are married, so I have I don't have any biological brother, but I have a lot of angel brothers that God has sent me. And one of my brothers, Quincy Harris, been married for 16 years.
16 years. Shout out to Quincy. Shout out to you, bro.
And Quincy, QDeezy is his name. They know him in Philly. But he said, you know what? I think if you're talking about marriage, you shouldn't get a wedding or a ring until 5 years after marriage. And the reason why is because when you get engaged, it all becomes about the wedding and the dress and the bridesmaids. And, you don't really focus on the real deal of marriage of, are you now going to conform? Are you going to suppress your ambitions or your dreams for the greater good of the marriage? You're just focused on my wedding day and the announcement and the engagement. And, okay, we're wearing white. Okay, pink is the color.
Yeah.
None of that stuff matters really in marriage.
Absolutely
so
not.
you can know the soil if you're not focused on those things. You should earn a wedding day. You should earn a wedding ring. You should prove that. And people get lost in that because they're not focusing on the foundation. A lot of the people that I know that are happily married did not have big weddings. They eloped. Like two of my best friends, I was not at their weddings. Like, one got married during COVID. So, it was only 10 people that were allowed to be there. And one of my friends, when she's like, I got married this weekend. I was like, you're lying. She was like, no, I really did. I was like, you are lying. And now it's been 10 plus years and she's still married to her husband. I wasn't even at the wedding. So I think that people are just focusing on the wrong things. But, marriage, I think, might become a thing of the past, unfortunately.
Why you say a thing of the past? You said marriage versus weddings. Because now you're saying marriage may be a thing of the past versus weddings. How did that shift?
So I think that when marriage was really, really the highest numbers were when women didn't have as much freedom as we do now, right? There was a time when women couldn't work. There was a time when women couldn't get bank accounts. There was a time you couldn't even get a home in your name, right? So your husband was like your boss.
Yeah.
Like, think about, you have a job. So many people have jobs that they hate, but you got to show up every day because of finances. Like, I don't like you, but I got to pay this rent.
Absolutely.
So some marriages were set up with that foundation. Leaving wasn't an option.
Nope.
It wasn't that Big Daddy wasn't, this, he was this faithful man and treating Big Mama so well. It was, if Big Mama wanted to leave, it just wasn't an
nowhere
option.
to leave to.
Nowhere to leave to. And then also social media, it was one of those things where it wasn't in your face, right? Like, it wasn't in your face to the funeral. Like, you always met the other kids or the other family at the funeral. This happened, and I have to always respect my personal life because I know my life is an extension of other. But that's what happened when I was young. My grandfather's funeral, my father met siblings that he didn't know until the funeral.
Yep.
So now we got social media. So when your man is out there, you're watching it on Snapchat. You're watching it on FaceTime. You're watching it, on Facebook. So now it's harder to stomach and being married to a man that the world sees embarrassing you. So you leave. And that's probably the healthiest thing for you because now that leverage isn't there. Like, before, men had leverage. Like, where you gonna go? You ain't got no money. You ain't got nowhere to go. The society is not going to accept you. Who's going to raise this family? You're going to be a single mom. It just wasn't accepted. So now we have women who are doing well financially, right? So financially, there's no reason for them to stay in a dynamic that's toxic. And they shouldn't. But with that being said, it's You got to accept that, okay, you might have to accept that you just probably won't get a husband because might not be willing to deal with what comes along with marriage.
You know what? What you're saying is true based upon statistics. They say that marriage is on the decline, but they said that the generation, we people in the 20s, 20-year-olds, I don't know what they call them, Gen, they all got different letters. But that generation is going to have healthier marriages because they have the tools. They have all this relationship advice, books, podcasts where they can glean information from so they can have healthier relationships versus what you're talking about. We saw a lot of our elders have toxic marriages. Mm-hmm. They have a whole nother family living down the street and grandma didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so she just kept quiet because that was her livelihood. And so I do agree with you because statistically they said that marriage is on the decline. My hope, in which I spoke about at the beginning of this year, is for in the African-American community, because they said based in the African-American community, where our marriage rates are like 30%. They said by 2030, it's going to go down to the teens. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is that knowing that, how do we reverse engineer it? What you said is so true. A lot of African-American women are out earning the male counterparts, and they feel like I can do bad all by myself or I don't need you at all. So now women are saying, I don't just need a man that's a provider, because at first men were the providers. Now they're saying I want something that men are less likely to give, which is emotional intelligence. Now I can overlook the money. I'm out earning you or whatever, but I can't be with a guy that I feel like I can't have conversation with. And so that's the part that's heartbreaking. And so here on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, I accept those statistics, and then I say, how can we do it better? How can we get men to start building more emotionally? We always been programmed to just be the earners, to be the providers, but how can we provide outside of finances? Not saying in lieu of, but saying, yes, go get your money, go do what you need to do, but don't make your value based upon your income. Right. And so what are you finding in yourself in these dating? Let me ask you this. Do you desire marriage?
If I died tomorrow and I wasn't a wife, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, because you'd be dead. Yeah. So when people say stuff like that,
but let me tell you why. Because
bother you dead.
No, because there's some people that are like, if I don't get married, it's the biggest regret.
None of that matters once you die.
No, but you got to hear me out, because I felt like becoming who I was born to be. So let me talk about people always say engagements don't count. And my engagement changed my life, and it helped me understand me, because I feel like most women we're sold the Cinderella story of marriage, right? So when I was young, I was sold the Cinderella story. Like, oh, you meet somebody, Prince Charming. So I did what we recommend girls do. I went to college. I went to Hampton University, got into a relationship. After college, we got engaged. And I remember, it's so funny. My mother, everybody was happy. My daddy said to me, he was like, you are not ready to be anybody's wife. My dad knew. He said, you are so ambitious that you're going to have to give up everything of who you really are to be this man's wife. And I remember being so mad at my dad, because I was like, I would think you would be happy, right? But he knew me. So one thing I loved about my engagement is that me and my ex-fiance, we took it serious. And we were like, if we get married, it's me and you until Jesus. Yep. Like, no matter what, if we do this, we end this. And having that pact in the beginning caused us both to really take this as a serious thing. What we learned was we had a real love for each other, but we had different life plans. And somebody was going to have to give up their life plan in order for the family to work. Now, at this time, I'm young. I'm in my 20s. I'm starting off in radio. I'm a graduate from Hampton University, but my first radio job, I made $7 an hour. And I'll never forget, I got a full-time job in Buffalo, New York, and they wanted me to sign a 3-year contract. I wouldn't sign the contract. So they said, okay, well, we're going to just let you go. It was December 20th. 5 days later, I didn't know, but my boyfriend then was planning to propose. And he proposed on Christmas Day. So I got fired and then I got engaged on Christmas Day. So I didn't have a job. So I ended up moving with him. This is how my Chicago run began, because he was an electrical engineer living in Illinois. So I ended up moving to Illinois. So we had spent a year long distance while I was working in Buffalo. So the first 2 weeks was amazing, right? Because it's like, okay, we're here. It's like honeymoon time. After that 2 weeks, he's going to work every day. I have no financial issues. Like, he has a reliable career, probably still has that job with that company at a higher level now. I moved in with him, so it was no extra bills. All I had to do was just get married and pop out some babies. And I said, this is not my life. This is not what God birthed me to become. And I knew I wasn't a housewife. I was like, I would not be happy as just somebody's wife and having their kids. Like, there's just so much inside of me. And I decided I'm going to pursue this career that has no guarantee. Like, literally, radio is probably one of the most unreliable careers you can bet on.
Yeah,
but it was like, I had to bet on me. And for a long time, I remember I used to be like, I chose my career over love. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't choose my career over love. I chose who I am. Like, this is who I am, whether I was making $1 off it or not. This is who Kendra is.
So why you say it had to be a choice, though? So what changed? What made it not work?
So what happened? Okay, I'm in radio. I ended up getting a job in Philly.
Oh, you had to relocate.
I got fired from this job in Chicago. So now I had to relocate to Philly. And we were already kind of rocky because we were discovering, like, at that time, he was ready to, like, have children and get married, like, because he didn't want to be an old father, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not having your child until we get married. And so we were learning, like, okay, we don't really have the same alignment for life goals. And I knew if I took the job in Philly, it was a wrap. There was no way we were going to be able to survive another long distance relationship. And that's what happened. And I moved to Philly, and our relationship did not survive.
How long y'all together from the day that y'all committed?
We were in college. So we started in college, and then I want to say we met probably like my sophomore year in college. You have this one of those, you together, then you're not together.
Yeah.
Then after, our engagement was like 3 years. Once we got engaged, it was like a 3-year process. So by this time, we really are just, because the thing is, he wasn't a bad guy and there wasn't like infidelity. It's different when you learn that, oh, I really love you, but we're just not on the same life plan.
Yes.
It's easy to leave a person if they cheat on you, if they're disrespectful. But when the love is real, but the life assignment isn't aligned, that's harder. So, but I had to go for what I know, right? And I took the job in Philly, and then that dissolved. And I remember I was really, really sad. But he ended up moving on. But I share this story because someone would say, this is like 20 years ago. And it's like, okay, 20 years later, you're still not married. You're still not a wife. Would you make that same bet? Would you make the same decision?
And I would say you would.
Absolutely, I would. I would have made it a day earlier because I had to choose me. Like, I am not going to suppress who I am just to be somebody's wife. Like, you asked me outside, you said, am I somebody's wife? I said, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Like, if I don't get married, it will not.
No, tell him how that conversation came up.
Because he writing letters to ghosts. Because Laterras be writing letters to ghost child. Now, I thought we stopped having imaginary friends when we was in kindergarten, but now Laterras, he said, I'm about to write the letter to my invisible wife. I said, your wife?
I did not say invisible.
Okay, he said to his wife, I said, the invisible woman you ain't never. Personally, I don't think Laterras want to be nobody's husband, but I think we might get to that part in the podcast. And I said, you writing letters to everybody know this woman but you. You done sat here, you've been around this world, around all these sensational women. He ain't trying to be nobody's husband, child. But
I told her
that's my own theory.
I said she is not imaginary. She's a real person.
Yeah, everybody know but you. How everybody know your wife but you?
Because if we meet each other and it aligns and we say I do, then she became my wife. So she wouldn't be imaginary no more, would she?
Okay, this is your interview, so I'm gonna respect that.
No, talk.
Okay, but I have a question for you.
We can have a conversation.
What are you looking for? Because like most people don't have the opportunity that you have. You have the opportunity to associate with so many women, right? Which I really feel like is your disadvantage, because we're having so many choices. It's like you're trying to make this perfect person. It's like, ooh, I like her. She speaks well. Ooh, but I like her because she fine. Ooh, I like her. Her hair real. Ooh, I like her. She go to church the most. So you got like 5 different pieces of a woman and you trying to make it that one. So it's like, to me, I think your challenge is, focusing on one woman only and rocking out life with her when you have so many options. And I feel like that's the disadvantage. That's your challenge.
So my challenge is this. My challenge is, well, thank you for your assessment. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Kendra G. I'm not a person that gets caught up on quantity. And so it's because like I go to these events, host these events everywhere. I go to my hotel and by myself. I don't get caught up on quantity. Matter of fact, I look for quality. I literally look back and say, God, these letters that I've written is literally a blueprint to what I desire. So when I meet a woman, it don't take a long time for me to assess and discern if that's my wife or not. I liken it to an episode I did one day, and I was interviewing this lady named Siobhan and her husband Cheyenne. Mm-hmm. And while she was talking, tears started streaming down my face. And this was about a couple of years ago because God revealed to me the sound of a wife. Mm. This is this other man's wife sitting right there, and they're talking, but I started crying. She said, why are you crying? I said, I can't compromise having a woman of God. And then she said, you don't have to. What's wrong? Because in my mind, in that season, I said, maybe what I desire, I'm looking for too much. And too much was it was basic. It was just literally, I want a woman that has the heart posture of God. A woman that when I'm in my moments of weariness, when I'm in these moments where I'm trying to figure out the next move, that she'll be able to put her hand on my shoulder and say, babe, you got this, and begin to pray for me. That, I want a woman that is aligned with me in purpose, where the decision shouldn't have to be made with, do I choose love or do I choose my purpose? Right. Because that's what you had to choose. If it's the person that God, and that's what I don't like, is that sometimes it becomes a question of, do I choose my lover / husband, wife, or do I choose my dreams? If it's your husband or spouse, you can do them both. It's like, it's no such thing as I have to choose this or this. And that's what I believe is the disconnect, is that it's set up as a choice. And so I'm looking for that, because yes, in certain situations you can date somebody and they may be not aligned because you may live in one area and they live in another area and neither one of y'all are willing to move or whatever. Well, unless y'all gonna have a long distance marriage, that's not gonna work. Right. But as 2 mature adults, you have to be able to say, you know what, this ain't gonna work before it gets 5 years in, before it gets to an engagement. Those conversations should be had early on in the assessment, in the interview phase. Before you get a job, they take you through an interview. Whether you lie and say that you believe in building with this company and retiring from that company, you lying when you're saying that. Or if you're saying, no, I really want to work here for 1 year because I'm going to quit and go be an entrepreneur after that year. Well, you lied at the interview, but you told them what they want to hear. When you're dating somebody, all I'm looking for is for people to show up as their authentic self so I can assess whether or not this is a person for me and this is a person I can build legacy with. And so sometimes, what you're saying is that, yes, a whole lot of selection. Absolutely. Sometimes that is overwhelming. But the reality is that my heart is fashioned in hearing what God wants me to hear in the sound of this woman. And that ain't gonna take me long. That's why I started being even more intentional verbally of saying, I will be married by the end of this year. And if I'm not married by the end of this year, there will be a ring on some woman's finger by the end of this year that she will be my wife in 2026, period. Because that's what I mean. Sometimes people look at it as, oh, you have all these options, and I can flip it back on you. Couldn't you get married if you want to?
Absolutely. But I was listening to you. This is good, because this is why when you asked me, I was talking about like, I don't know, because I take marriage so seriously. Like, it's not a game. And I feel like a lot of women, if you understood what you are giving and offering as a wife, when a guy shows you he don't deserve that, you wouldn't cry. Because to me, there's nothing higher than an honor than saying, I'm going to be your wife. Because what I'm saying is, everything is second to you.
Facts.
Everything is second to you. You have to you have to earn that.
Absolutely.
What happens is women show up for men as wives and they not even your boyfriend.
Absolutely.
Like he's not even reliable. And you got to stop giving out these wifely benefits to men, because this is why men don't want to become husbands, because they get husband treatments without even being your boyfriend.
That part.
But the truth of a wife to me is the highest honor. I'm going to stand by your side through sickness and health. You know, when you're wrong, I'm not going to shame you in front of the world. I'm going to suppress myself if it means to ignite you to a different, exalt you. I'm going to move and fashion my whole entire life around you, because I do believe that's what a wife should do. But I feel as though a man has to earn that. And what's happening is, going back to the Cinderella story, every man doesn't deserve a wife. You know, and every man and every woman doesn't necessarily deserve a husband, because, again, are you willing to make that sacrifice for that man? Are you willing to say, I'm going to put this job aside because this doesn't work for my husband? I have so many friends that are married, and some have been married for years. And I have watched the valleys. Like, there's moments when the husband was doing better, but then he lost his job. So then my friend had to step up and had to do I don't want, again, I have to be conscious of other people's personal business, but I saw her had to step up in ways to hold down the family, because that's what the dynamic required.
Absolutely.
Because their family trumps everything. And I think if we go back to that foundation, you will realize there's not a lot of people that really qualify to be your husband or your wife. Dating, you can date forever. Like, there's that supply is limitless, to be quite honest. But your husband, a wife, I don't really feel as though there's a lot of options. I do think finances have changed this a lot, though, because see, a man, he'll date a girl who's a waitress at Applebee's or the corporate lawyer, right? Because it's like, we just going on a date. They make it kind of simple. Women, if you're not the corporate lawyer, I don't even want to go on the date with you. And that guy who is attractive, has money, now he's connected via social media. I always say, like, back in the day, there was this, Waterbury, I live in Waterbury, Connecticut. There was this guy called Michael Chapman, and he was like the finest guy in high school, and all the girls wanted him. So imagine this now with social media. Like, now it's the finest man in the whole world is at his oasis. So I just feel like,
a click away.
Yeah, it's almost, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack, but I do, without the intimacy, women, you got to start dating like men to a certain degree. Just go on a coffee date.
No, I say that. So you're aligned with what I talk about in my podcast. I say, and some people, women be like, I can't do that. I say, get used to dating multiple men. I said date multiple men. I didn't say sleep with multiple men, but would you ever just go put your application or your resume in at one job? You're going to put it in with a whole lot of, sometimes you can get a headhunter that they go put your stuff out with a whole lot of people, and they say, hey, now you got interviews. And you sit down and you're talking to different people and different companies and saying, oh, I like this. What's the benefits package? Oh, I like this. I like that. I don't see any areas of growth in this company. And then you don't accept the job offer. Then you go to the next one, and you have all these options that you go through, and then you go, I see myself working here. I see that this is most aligned with my career goals and all that. It's the same thing with dating. Date multiple people, sit down, like you said, coffee dates, break bread with somebody, and interview with them. And what I found is that you'll learn so much about yourself. You'll be able to discern what you really want. You're like, well, I thought I always wanted a guy that was the lawyer, but he don't have no time for me. He don't even return my calls. He don't do nothing. And I really thought that I was going to be married to this doctor, but he don't this. He's always that. He's always... You know what? This other guy, never thought I'd give this type of guy a chance. But this is a guy that sees me, he talks to me, he's investing in me, he's intentional with me. And after dating all these people, you'll realize that what you thought, you have this cognitive dissonance that's been operating in your mind where you say you want this, but you're actually acting out in this fashion. Then you'll be able to discern, this is what I really want. This is most aligned with me. And then you'll have a healthy, thriving marriage. But now, based on what you said a minute ago, you just said that based on all these options I have, that I should be married, because of the fact that I'm not married, not taking into account, I have been married before. So I've been married before. I was married for almost 10 years. I've been divorced going on 10 years. And so based on the options that you said that you think I should be married, and even went as far as to say I don't really want to be married, because if I did, I would be married by now.
Okay.
You want to retract that statement, Kendra G?
I don't want to retract the statement, because I still feel, this is what I stand on with that. And I stand on what I said before. You have so many options. I almost think you're looking for the perfect woman.
And why do you say that?
Because you've been around there's certain people who don't have what you have. You have the gift of being around so many variety of women. And I guess for me, observing, I'm like, all these sensational women, none of them was good enough to be your wife.
Why is it not good enough?
What do you mean, why is it not good enough?
Why is that the phrase?
Because I feel like, for you, to me, this is what we talk, because we talk outside. And I want to also, I'm going to answer this, and there's something else you said I want to talk about, so we're going to have to go back. Marriage is important to you. Marriage is important to you. To me, if God forbid, if this was our last day on earth and you didn't get remarried, that would be like one of your regrets. Like, I should have did that. So because it's so important to you, I would think you do have a podcast behind it, but I would think that by this time you would have found a woman that has most of the qualities, because I don't think she might not have 100%. She might have 70%, but the 70% is more important, because there's so many women that want to marry you, Laterras. Like, there's so many women who girl, like, if I brought you on my show, Laterras ain't been on my show, but if I know for certain, if you came on my show, 8,000, I'm not even exaggerating. You would get 8,000 women from around the world that are like, I want to be your wife. Now, they might not all fit what you want, but I think, is anybody perfect?
And that's the thing about it. I'm not looking for perfection.
Okay, before I answer that, you haven't met a woman that has at least 70% of the qualities that matter most to you that could be your wife.
I always say I thought I did. So you have to think, I did a whole episode in 2022 that you may not be aware of. 2023, called Healing from Heartbreak. I thought I was going to marry this woman after us knowing each other for 3 months. And I said, it was so intentional, all this alignment, all this stuff. And I was like, cool. I had planned, we had talked about, end up getting married in 2023. And I was like, this is what it is.
Well, I thought that was crazy.
Well, look, hold on. No, hold on. I want to hear it now. I want to hear how you double talk what you just said.
Let's not double talk.
No, listen, hold on. This is what you just said. You ain't found nobody that you want to marry. Now you found this other person. That's crazy that you was going to marry this woman after knowing her for 3 months.
Because 3 months, to me, you haven't been through enough life experience to make that commitment.
But the commitment wasn't done yet. This is what I'm saying. So this is the process. You can meet somebody with intentionality to say, I plan to marry him.
Okay.
Clearly, she didn't have a ring on her finger.
Okay.
Clearly, we didn't get engaged.
Okay.
Clearly, but we were in pre-engagement counseling. So we were in pre-engagement counseling because I said there's some things that we need to uncover, and there's some things that I see attached to your past family that we need to look at. And so we started doing that, and that's when everything started unraveling. She was like, I got to go get healed.
Well, I want to go back. Okay, so that's one woman, but what has been your challenge? So what is the challenge that you are having when seeking a wife? Like, what are women lacking? Because this could be an enlightening moment for women who are watching, because I have so many women that want to be married. So what do you find that you cannot find, which is this wow factor that is important to you to be somebody's husband?
See, I don't think it's based on a woman's deficit. It's not based on, because I meet a lot of amazing women, so I can't say that if they were this, we would have got married. It's not that. It's the fact that as time would tell, we didn't make it to marriage. And that's why I mean by healthy dating experiences, where you date somebody and y'all are very clear, I'm seeking God over it, and it just doesn't work out, And so in those situations, I don't look at, I changed my perspective when it comes to love. I look at love as an opportunity for people to experience who we are in our healthy self or our toxic self. And then we get a chance to recalibrate and say, oh gosh, I need to heal from this. This person here, where I bled on most of the relationship, and they had to deal with the last 3 women I dealt with, or dealt with somebody I forgot all about 6 years ago that I wasn't healed about or healed from. And so as you go on this journey of love, I believe that we give people the opportunity to experience us and we experience them. And if it works out to engagement and if it works out to marriage, because think about it, it's stages. It goes from we dating each other. My whole thing is I believe in going from friend to fiance. So that means that what I want to cultivate at the foundation is friendship. Can I talk to you? Do I enjoy you? Can I turn the TV off and we can enjoy each other just having great conversation? I talk about my life, quote unquote, ending with my beautiful wife sitting on a porch and rocking chairs, sipping lemonade and just talking. I say that a lot on my podcast because I say it has to go down to the foundation of just sitting there talking. So, is this somebody I can talk to?
Right. But
let me go to the stages.
Okay.
So then we go from the date to the friendship stage, and then we go to engagement. Prior to engagement, I say we're going to go through pre-engagement counseling so we can excavate whatever childhood trauma, whatever issues we have to bring it to the forefront. Then if all that checks out, boom, let me put a ring on your finger. The engagement is a process. It's still a process of this is what we are committed to until we get married. Well, a lot of people, including yourself, have failed engagements. You're engaged to somebody and it doesn't make it to the wedding. Even if it makes it to the wedding, the altar, y'all still not married. They ask the question, Kendra G, do you accept so-and-so to be your, sir, do you accept so-and-so?
If we got this, all the money we done spent for that wedding, I'm saying yes. Nah, we done made it that far. But
think about how many people don't, though.
Right.
How many people be stood up at the altar, they don't even come. So I'm saying all of this is the process. What I just want to illustrate is that everything is a process. And so sometimes when people look at other people and they go, you should have been married, and then I put it back on them, and you should have too. But you can identify with your own process and be like, well, no, because the reason why I didn't is because I was going to marry this person, but this right here happened and I chose this or whatever. But you should have been married.
But I could tell you why I'm not married, right?
Exactly, and I can too.
Right. But I think the difference with us is it's not as important to me as it is to you. But there's so many stuff that,
but the fact that it's so important, like you just said, you understand, this is what you said that you didn't hear you say that was so profound. You understand the gravity of marriage.
But here's the deal.
And I do too.
I feel like this goes back to the buffet.
Hold on. And a person that's been divorced before.
Right. But I feel like you have to, that's why I said, have you met a woman that has 70%? Because at some point in time, it becomes a choice for you to focus on this woman. A lot of times we're dealing with so much people, like, you might not be focused to get your wife because you probably have different women in your life that is playing a role.
But Kendra, did you hear what I just said? I don't have that problem. So that's what I'm saying. To most people,
you don't have what problem?
The problem where I have a problem selecting. That's not my problem. I just told you somebody I met in 3 months I was going to marry. I don't have a problem with that.
So, okay, let's just talk about reality. So right now, because we're here, and I'm definitely going back. I want to definitely speak upon when you said women should date a lot of people. I don't know. I want to be respectful because I don't want to know I don't know what you talk about on your podcast all the time, but are you seriously dating in this moment? Do you answer that or not?
Yes, I date.
Okay.
Yes. I
so are you dating seriously? Are there any women you're dating right now that you feel like, okay, this woman can make it to the love of Laterras by the end of this year to get that ring that you have already? Are there women that you are dating that you feel are strong contenders?
I would say, I don't like the way you just flipped this interview on me, Kendra G.
Well, listen, I wasn't trying to, but you want to talk.
Did. Oh, yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
I would say I don't think of it that deep. I go because I don't want to I don't make a relationship fantastical where I'm fantasizing over it. I literally relegate it and say, are we conducive friends? So in the stage I'm at right now, yes, I am dating people or getting to know. I was going to say getting to know people. And when the day this interview is airing, which is we recording this March the 4th. March the 4th, don't know when this episode is going to be released. March the 4th, I am getting to know people that I don't know what the end result is.
Okay. So I say that to say, I think that's amazing. And men have that freedom, right? Sometimes women aren't given that freedom. I want to talk about that, but I don't want to lose this in transit because I've been meaning to say this. I love that you said earlier that women should date, right? And I said this on the Tamara Hall show, and I said I had a roster child. They was like, what? No, what it simply meant is like, I'm not in a relationship. There's men that I date. And that's true for me. I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, women, you have to date, because what happens is if you are single and you date one guy, you start treating him like your boyfriend and your husband. And he's neither, right? So now you're obsessing, and now you have decided to take yourself off the market. No, if a man really values you, he's going to take you off the market. He's going to take you off the market because he doesn't want anybody else to have you. And if he does not make that decision, you are a single woman. You should go out there and decide and date and learn. Like you said earlier. And I love that you said that, because me as a woman saying that, I got so much pushback from men. That's terrible advice. No, because what you want her to do, be sulking and crying over you in the house, twiddling her thumbs, watching your Instagram page, seeing what you're doing. No, girlfriend, be amazing and be outside. And maybe it's a guy that you're just having coffee with. Like, men do date right. Like, they just date. Women start being like that. Like, if the guy if he's an Uber driver and he's like, yo, you got time later, and if he's attractive enough, just go. It's just roller skating, girl. You're just going bowling.
Absolutely.
Like, it doesn't mean you're going to go down the altar, but what it does is it gets you out of your house. It gets you not soaking over a guy that's not thinking about you. I always tell people I have no men problems unless having too many options is one. I'm just keeping it real with you. I only deal with the men that like me. If you don't like me, I don't like you, case closed. There's no issue.
That part.
Like, there's no issue. Like,
simple.
Like, people nowadays are chasing people who don't want you. And honestly, this prize is the man the prize, the woman the prize. Whoever's being chased is the prize. So, girlfriend, if you're chasing him, he's the prize. If you're chasing her, she's the prize. But ultimately, you want a match where y'all both feel like we're both the prize. And if I lost you, this would be horrible. So I'm going to do my best to show up. Now I'm going to bring it back to you. I feel like, and you know, you my friend, I've said this to you off the mic. Your career is very important. And I feel like you're excelling. I mean, you got me on your couch, right? That's not easy to do.
We ought to start laughing.
No, I'm joking.
But you're not.
No, I'm not, but I am. But no, you're amazing and you're growing. And we've talked before, and you said that whoever you marry will have to be a woman that you can do this with.
Absolutely.
Right? And I feel like there's a woman that can probably, like, let's just talk about Coretta Scott King. Mm-hmm. Like, Coretta Scott King was married to Martin Luther King, and I don't really know too many interviews she's ever done. Like, I can't really tell you the sounds of her voice. I know she was poised. She sat. She was very respectfully dressed. You know, that family, you know, we all owe them, you know, our lives as Black people, the sacrifices that they made.
Absolutely.
But she wasn't the woman that was also preaching alongside him, right? So I was saying, what if God sends you a wife, but this right here isn't her ministry? Like, she can pray over you. She's the one when you go home at night and she's like, this world is heavy. I got you, honey. But this part she can't do. Now you find the woman that can do this part. You know, she can go back and forth with you, but then the other part she can't do. Whereas, and she's willing to make the sacrifice to be the union. So it's like, you want a worker wife. Like, she got to be able to be all these facets. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not God, so I don't ever claim to speak in absolute of anything, but I feel like that sometimes could be your challenge, because I feel like you got the church woman down pat, you got a couple of those options, then you got the podcast girl, but now you're trying to merge them together.
Is that hard?
I think that it's a decision, right? Because I feel like when you get married, right? What I've learned, there's always going to be fine people, right? You might find somebody that's more attractive than your husband. You might find someone that's more educated than your wife, but you have already made this decision that that's your person. So even though when you interact with people who might have a trait that might be in a stronger area, it doesn't matter, because your wife or your husband is your person. Mm-hmm. So when a person like you has so many different women that can, I feel, and I could be wrong, I feel like you have probably like 5 or 6 women that make up one woman that you can get. I go to her when I need prayer. I go to her when I need to talk about this podcast world. I go to her when I got to talk about travel. I go to her when I just need to laugh. So it's like you have all these different women that can fulfill. How do you now just say that's the one? And I'm closing everybody else off for that one. It could be hard. It could be hard for a man like you because that's where the buffet comes into.
And see, that's why I keep going back to that's not a desire of mine. Like
what's
that's
not a desire of
a
yours?
Desire to have a buffet. That doesn't.
Yeah, but you do though have a buffet.
But I don't. That's what I'm saying.
You just told me that you're dating. You're dating.
I'm doing
intention.
I did exactly what you said that you tell women to do.
Right.
It's the same thing. I'm saying that the reality is simply this. I keep saying this is.
Where the camera at?
The camera right there. You talk to that.
Making it.
The concept is this. In your mind, you believe something totally different because I am a man and men are the choosers. But think about it way back in the olden days and biblical days and Elizabethan days, the women were presented with multiple suitors. And she would have to choose which one she wanted. Now, she would have to choose with the help of her family. Her father would be like, now this person, if we marry this person, we can cause a peace treaty with this person right here. This family is very wealthy and this can do this. This person right here, he's a peasant guy. I don't even know how he got in the lineup, but all that stuff. And then a lot of times they would end up choosing whatever. Sometimes they would defy their father's wishes and may end up marrying the peasant or whatnot. Women have choices. What happens is that
all women, but okay.
Well, not all women, but I still believe that every woman still has a choice. She just don't want the one that don't want. Like, okay, there's always somebody that want you that you don't want.
But that goes for men too. There are men pursuing women that they cannot get.
Absolutely. So but that ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about. We always look at it like men have all these options. And yes, they do because they're the choosers. But women have options too. They just may not like the options that are being presented.
Well, no, let's go here. Because one thing I've learned is dating is very individual.
Right.
And this is why your relationship status cannot be the being of your happiness, because the truth of the matter is, in the numbers game, every woman's not going to be a wife.
Absolutely.
Every man's not going to be a husband. So you can't wait to be happy because you're somebody's wife, because just in the sheer numbers game, everyone's not guaranteed that, right? So no, it's not true. Every woman does not get to choose to be a wife. There's just not enough of the supply for the demand.
No, I'm talking about, I guarantee you, I said that there's somebody that wants you that you don't want. That's all I said. So I'm saying that it's somebody that wants you. It's a generic thing. There's somebody that wants you. I didn't say you have to marry them. I didn't say you should marry them. I didn't even say it would be a good decision to even give them a chance. I'm just saying that sometimes we have this scarcity mindset, but there's always somebody that wants you that you don't want. And so what I'm saying, I'm just using that. I gotta
jump in. That's just not okay, because that goes.
True.
It is not true. Everybody is not wanted by somebody. Like
I'm telling you, I talk to too many women in this world that know I don't want him. Okay. But they be in their DMs trying to holler at him. They're like, I leave him on red. I don't want him.
That's that. Okay, again, you're talking about the women that you're associating with.
I'm talking about let me tell you something. There is somebody in your DMs that you don't want.
Okay, for certain people,
that's all I'm saying. Just a basic statement,
right? But what I'm saying is
somebody on your job that be asking you to take you out, and you just don't want them.
Okay, here's the truth, though. That is not truth for every person walking the planet. Hold on, let me get this out.
Everybody,
but that's what we're saying, because when you say everybody, that's what everybody means. And the reality is, there's a saying, and people hate when I bring this to light. There's somebody for everybody. Let me tell you who the somebody for everybody is. The person in the mirror. The only person that God has guaranteed that you're going to get is the person in the mirror.
Facts.
Everybody does not get a romantic partner. Now, let me tell you why this is important to understand and to get that message in your core. It will make you realize if you meet someone that is worth it, you will fight for it more, because it's just not easy to find.
Facts.
Because of that mindset, I'm going to find my person person. There's somebody for everybody. People treat people as disposable because I could just find something better. It's not the case. And we know people walking this planet. You don't need Kendra G to say that not everybody gets married. Not everybody gets a wife or a husband. We know family members in our family, women who have been single their whole entire lives, uncles who have been single their whole entire lives. So it's just not the truth. There's not even just enough men to these women. Like, how many times have you been to a dynamic of, let's just use, I don't want to use Essence Fest because that's kind of a woman's thing. We could use church. Let's use church, right?
It'd be 80% women.
80% women. So how can we say if there's 80% women, 20% men, 20, maybe half of those might be married, alternative lifestyles, who knows, right? So now we have 80% women, maybe a 5% option of male pool.
Yep.
How can we say all those 80% women still somebody can, out of those 5%, it's just the numbers don't even align.
Well, I'm saying outside of church, they may see them at the job, maybe at the gas station.
So
do try to holler at them.
optimistic.
No, it's the truth. I'm just telling. It's the physical truth. I'm saying no matter what. I've seen. I used to do homeless ministry. It'd be homeless people with people. I'd be like, y'all be finding each other. It's like I'm saying that at the end of the day, but that we got pulled away from the point that I was really trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that when it comes down to me, you said, how are you looking for this woman that's supposed to be perfect? I'm not looking for perfection. The woman who I was planning on marrying.
You still haven't answered to me, then what is the challenge? Because you got to answer this so I could be clear.
It's not a challenge.
So what do,
that's why I say I want you to reframe how you speak about.
Okay, so what is the lack? Like when you meet these women who are...
It's not a lack. I answered that before. It's not a lack in who it is. It's a matter of this. They're just not my person.
So why? So let me ask you this: because marriage is so your goal, why are you still dating them?
Well, I'm dating who?
Like you said, this person's not your person. So if you know that she can't be your wife, why do you still continue to date her?
I don't date them.
You just told me you're dating plenty of women. Well,
I'm getting to know people. Remember, that's the phase. You ain't asked, have you been dating them for 5 years? No, it ain't gonna never last that long. That's why I said, what happens with me, it happens quickly. So I'll give me a couple of months, they no longer around. And I say no longer around, meaning they're no longer, we have those conversations and vice versa. They may say, listen, I don't believe that we're aligned and this. Cool. That's what I mean by it's healthy interactions. So like I always stay perpetually dating until I get married, period. So I'm going to always date, which means getting to know, data collection, getting to know different women until I find the one and God says, that's it. It's a wrap. That's what I mean. It's the process. So when you look at somebody, and I always say that even with the way that you view, access. Yes, I got that. That don't mean nothing to me. It's the fact of saying, regardless of it, and I'll be transparent with you. In my counseling session I had, my therapy session, my therapist said, my first therapy session, she said, you know what, Laterras, most people I'll meet with a lot of men, they go into relationships or they do whatever and they are fathering their person that they're dating or whatever. They have this fathering thing. She said, you're a spouse. You date with a spouse mentality. Like when you literally date people, she said you even do that with your mom. You don't have like a mom-son relationship. You have a spouse relationship. And I'll unpack that later on, how deep that is, because I'm not ready to share that yet. But just the covering that I provide for women. And any woman that I date, they walk away and they say, I felt covered, like a husband covers you. So it's a different level of access that I give a woman and I grant to her, because it's not just some simple, I'm just getting to know you. I'm getting to know you, but I'm getting to know you with the intention of, I do want this wife. And so as I'm getting to know that person, I go, hey, is this my wife or not? But we're learning each other on the basis and the foundation of friendship. That's what makes it so unique. So you got to break it down, because you the smart one in this conversation. I'm gonna just make it simple because I keep asking this question and I really don't feel like you've answered it. So let me just ask, for example, as you're dating, what happens in one case in particular where you realize, oh, she's not my wife? Like, you got to break it down like that, because I feel like I hear what you're saying and it sounds great, but I'll use the episode that I sat for an hour and unpacked in real time 3 days after it ended. That's the best example of it. In that relationship, She literally said she has to go through therapy. She has to go through EMDR therapy because she realized how broken she is. And she said, if you stay with me, I have to let you go, Laterras. If you stay with me, I am going to break you in the process.
So that was her choice, not your choice.
Yes. That's why I said it can be both. It can be both ways. It can be.
Okay, but now, but that's not the example I'm asking you for.
No, but hold on. You asked for the example of what's wrong with the situation. I keep saying, hold on, but let me finish.
Okay.
When you're dating people, they both, when you're having a healthy interaction with each other, that other person can say, hey, they don't feel like you're aligned with me. They may say that, hey, they may not feel like I'm the best option for them. And I may say the same thing. I said that a minute ago.
Right. But see, what I'm asking for is the clear moment. Like, you know what? She didn't want to move to Dallas. You know what? She don't want to have kids. You know what? I realized.
All of the above, all of that.
So those are the moments.
Every last one of them. And,
that's what
and
I'm
vice
asking
versa.
you about.
But it's all of the above, though. It's situations where you can have a conversation. You can talk to somebody, and you may talk to somebody, and I may be getting to know somebody, and they say, well, you know what? I'm just not, I just don't like the fact that your whole platform is about relationships.
Right.
And I'm very private about relationships, and I just don't want people in our business like that.
No, I told you that. I said that your wife, because I think marriage, from what I've learned, is already, it got a lot. Right? Like, you know, it's already one thing for you with one person. Now you're going to add the world into the relationship. And that makes it even more difficult because now you got people saying, girlfriend, well, I wouldn't let my man, you stay with him after he said this and that. And now, even though you're trying to be strong, but this is why sometimes celebrity relationships don't last, because the world's, and a lot of people are miserable. They're communicating on your marriage. So I feel like it's so protected. Like, if I ever go there, people will probably find out so late. Like, y'all will not know about my wedding. Like, I don't think I'm going to do anything big because I will protect it because it would be so important to me. I wasn't always that way, but as my public figureness grew, I was tired of unsolicited opinions. Like, you don't even know me. So how are you going to give an opinion on my life and you don't even know me in real life? So to put my relationship out there and for you to talk about it, that is so much pressure. So I think that is another challenge too, because the covenant is going to be challenged by so many different opinions. But I could be wrong. You know, I want you to get married, child. I got the dress for the wedding day. Like, we got everything but the bride, child. We got the venue. We got the location. We got the time. We done made the invitations. Save the date. Now, wife, where you at? Because we've been looking for you for 5 years. We need you to show your face. Now, you got to know how to pray. You got to know how to talk on the microphone, okay? You got to be able to have tough skin, because all the girls that wanted to be his wife going to be mad at you because you got the job that they wanted. So, girlfriend, but I need you to show up because I'm tired, okay? I'm tired of my friend writing invisible letters to you. So can you show your face, please, so I can go to a wedding and wear my fabulous dress? Don't nobody want him to get married more than me, child. Talking about this end of this year. Now you got to show yourself fast, child, because December this year, you got a wedding. And there you go, sister girl.
So the reality is, Kendra, so the reality is this. So when you started talking about the public side of marriage,
yes.
Think about it. If people think that I'm gonna sit up here and they're gonna have access to my wife in the dating phase, they're deceived. I've had episodes where I have my friends who had popped out and showed people. They got married and then they didn't even announce that they were engaged, and they did that. If they don't think that that's the heart posture that I had, my podcast reflects my heart. That's the whole point. So when I say certain things and it happens, I'll be like, so no one's going to know who my wife is when I get proposed to her, when I propose to her. They're not going to see that. They're going to see her when she walks down that aisle. So the reality is, and so then when you marry somebody, when you're dating, that's a whole nother thing. How do you feel about keeping things private until it's permanent? That's a conversation.
Child, this going to be Casper the Friendly Ghost, probably, child, until we see Jesus. I think now that, again, I used to, listen, the truth of the matter, I used to want to be famous. Nah, I just want to be rich. Okay, I don't need nobody in my business. I don't need to be famous. Because what I learned with fame, like I said earlier, as a public figure, is unsolicited opinions constantly. And people, you can't make an opinion when you don't know the whole story, and you're never going to know the whole story. So I think some of the most successful relationships are not on social media. Like, they're not broadcasting everything. And I've learned this, I learned that. So I think if something is precious to you and sacred to you, you don't share it, because now we're you don't just belong to you no more. Like, if like people are going to take this and they're going to make clips and they're going to chop it up, like Laterras, like your wife is going to have to share you with the world, right?
And what's so great about that, I saw Morris Chestnut's wife on the Sherry Shepherd show, and Sherry was like, can we, she said somebody else's husband, the wife said, y'all, we can share them. So Sherry said, can we share Morris? And then the wife said, nuh-uh. And then Sherry's like, all right, I'm just playing. But she was making the comment, the wife said, I love the fact that y'all adore Morris. He's an amazing guy or whatnot. Right. I see why all y'all love him. And that's why I love him too. There's certain people that are graced for that. If a woman isn't graced for that, whoever that woman is in my life, she's graced for this. This is nothing for her. That's what I mean. So what happens is that's why I said you can't get caught up with just the quote unquote opportunities and look at them as options. They're not options, because it's very specific on what God said that I'm going to have. And so what happens is people get weary in their well-doing, and they be like, I'm tired. I'm finna just pick somebody. And then you try to force them to be the wife that you need them to be. And the Bible says this. Now I got to go into the word. The Bible says, I will give you a suitable helper. Okay. A suitable helper, meaning that it can't just be anybody. If I am a gynecologist, I'm not looking for a mechanic to teach me how to be a gynecologist. It just don't work. Right. And it'd be like, I need you to come help me. Hey, you fix cars? Come help me. I'm finna go work on this woman. It'd be like, I don't know how to do that. But you can get a medical assistant that has some training in order to help the gynecologist do what they do. So the reality is, whoever, and you'll find it, it's the most beautiful thing, because I've had so many couples on my podcast that reflect that. For instance, Fawn Weaver and her husband, she sat down and I said, could you have built this $1 billion business without him? She said, absolutely not. I said, sounds good, but you're intelligent. You're a go-getter. You did this, you whatever. And she said, I still couldn't have done it. She said, God knew that I needed to meet my husband at 20-something years old in order to build in me and be able to provide what it is that he provides, that was able to create this $1 billion business.
I believe that to be true. I believe that, I believe that to be true. I believe everybody has an individual God assignment though, right? So that's how it showed up for her. Just to give clarity, when you're talking about Morris Chestnut's wife, is Idris Elba's wife, that says he's like she's the one that cheers her husband, because everybody loves Idris Elba. But no.
But think about, some women couldn't do that. Some women will have so much insecurity to be like, I'm sick of these women like that, because he gonna end up leaving me for this. And think about, you have this guy that's considered the finest man alive, and you may have insecurities where you don't believe that you're even deserving of him, because you met him while y'all were in high school or in college or whatever. Now his star power has risen. He has different access. Here go those opportunities and options you have. But now that suitable wife starts getting insecure and be like, well, I don't feel that I'm worthy enough to be with him anymore, because he has other options.
I want to talk about insecurity. I'm happy you brought that up, because I was going to bring that up before. It's the man's job to make the woman feel secure, because first of all, yes, you need to be a confident woman, right? But women, you don't ever argue with another woman, about your man, because if the man is about you, he's going to shut it down.
Facts.
Shout out to Finesse Mitchell. Many, many years ago, he said this. He said, you should never be arguing. If you're arguing with a woman about your man, that's not your man.
Facts.
Because men always say, oh, you're acting insecure. No, you're not laying down the foundation for me to feel secure. That's the issue. I could deal with the other women who's trying to holler at you. It's your reaction. Do you say, nah, I'm good. This is my wife. You won't be disrespectful. This is my girl. This is my child's mother, whatever it is. So I think that when it comes to insecurity, if the man lays down the foundation, then there's no room for error.
Sometimes, and I would say sometimes, because if a man, I've seen too many situations, and I've been in them myself, where the man or myself have shut down stuff, even made enemies with, hey, don't you ever do this or whatever. But that woman has an insecurity in her. Okay. You can never do you can never do enough for an insecure person, because they have to, because if you feel a sense of unworthiness, male or female, a sense of unworthiness within yourself, nobody can ever make you feel worthy, because you'll be sitting up there like you'll deal with this mindset of, one day they're going to leave me. One day they're going to find somebody better. One day, and you're like, no, you are my better. And they like, yeah, you're saying that now, but if you meet, I remember you really love Nia Long. If you ever get a chance to meet Nia Long, you're going to leave me for her. He's like, I joked about that when we first met. I ain't really looking at her like that. And then that day you see her with Nia Long and you like, see, he wants her. And you like, but I don't. It's just, that's my childhood crush. But I bet if you get the opportunity, you would. He's like, I'm not even thinking like that. And that insecurity will come up. What I'm simply saying is that, yes, we should do a good job on creating healthy boundaries when it's dealing with the opposite sex and making sure that we're protecting and fireproofing our relationships. But it is not our job to make somebody secure. Well,
I was challenged that and saying, because the example that you gave to me, she came insecure, right? Any woman that is like, and then I would say, well, how did that insecure woman even get so far to become your woman? Because my assumption would be she wouldn't even be your girl without the outside, because there's other things that will happen before Nia Long. I mean, that's the largest example of how any woman might feel, right? But I still feel, yes, a woman has to be confident. She has to be that when you meet her, but that's who you wife up or make your wife. When we get to the relationship, no, that is the man's time to set the presence. Facts. Like there's nothing, you cannot talk about my woman. If I'm choosing another girl over you, that causes so much error. Even if I'm wrong in this moment, I'm right. And then when we get home, we talk about how I was wrong. Absolutely. But in this moment, you got to make me right. And I think what's happening right now is a lot of people, like, and they're going to get mad, but I think women have to start being heartless until somebody earns your heart. Because women, they meet a guy and he starts off as husband. And then all the things you like start knocking down but you gave him the pedestal of husband on day one. He never earned that. No, let the man earn your heart, and then he earns the treatment that you would desire to give that one man. And then now that you're not giving it out so much, now it's gonna be more sacred to you. But when everybody's your husband and everybody's your wife, what's the point of really making somebody your husband and somebody your wife? It's supposed to be this special thing that person gets.
The word that you use now, and
now he put out the phone, child. I need to pull out a phone. If he's going to pull out a phone.
You said heartless because I want to make sure that we don't create toxic environments and dating environments.
Okay, let's break it down.
Because the word heartless means displaying a complete lack of feeling or consideration. And so I can't have a complete lack of consideration. Now, the Bible says, above all things, guard your heart, from out of it flows the issues of life. So I will say, as we are dating, make sure that we are guarding our heart, but don't be heartless. Because that means you showing a lack of anything towards that person, and they're not going to choose you. You're not going to have a healthy relationship with somebody that they say that you're heartless.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, all the time. Thank you.
But the reason I said that, and I will accept the way you broke it down. This is what I do love about our friendship, because you can help me see what I'm trying to say,
and vice versa.
And ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that most women, not all, are very nurturing.
Right.
And most women want the fairy tale. Like, I think there's more women that desire the fairy tale of marriage than men. I think more men operate in the reality of marriage as in assets. Like, if this don't work out, you get half of my money. Yep. Or, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Or am I going to have peace? Because I always hear men say, I need to have peace. Mm-hmm. So I feel like men operate more with the reality of marriage sometimes than women. But because women desire it so much, they're in fairy tale. Yep. So when they meet the guy, they make him, it's like, I'm gonna make you fit this husband box that I've been waiting for. But there's so many signs. He doesn't even text you back. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just start there. You're with a man who won't even text you back. Like, God forbid you have to go to the hospital. He doesn't even call you. Here's the qualities. Characteristics should be the only thing when we talk about marriage. I know women have height requirements, and I just don't think you should have height requirements. Yep. I said this on the Tamron Hall. You got, right now your man's invisible. 5'9" is taller than invisible, right? Yep. And when you think about marriage, God forbid, I'm in the hospital.
She said it's
and
taller
I can't,
than invisible.
Yeah, 5'9" is taller than invisible. Some of the men you can't even see. Like, we can't see his wife, child. She's invisible. We're gonna stay focused. But I feel like when you think about, if I were to get married, this is what I would be focusing on.
Talk about it.
God forbid something happened. I'm in the hospital. I can't make a decision for myself.
Yes.
Is this man gonna fight for my life?
That part.
I have a father. My daddy, now, and it's hard, and maybe it's a gift or a curse, but God gave me an amazing father. My father would die for me in a split of a second. My father would be in that hospital cussing everybody out to make sure I survive. He does not play about me. So if my father is living, if I get married, that's no longer my father's decision. That's my husband's decision.
Teach.
So if I'm going to take my father out of that role to protect my life, you got to be the man that I trust to be the protector. And a lot of times women are like, well, he's tall. He could pop bottles on a fun day, Sunday. None of that matters when it comes to your husband. That's why I'm saying y'all trying to be wives to men who don't want to be husbands. And men, you're focusing on women who don't want to be wives. And because you know why? They're focusing on the exterior, the looks, the shell. When people who are married know it's the essence inside that trumps everything, right? You can't play with it. I feel like people just play with marriage. And that's why you said, when you asked me, I don't know, because I take it so serious. And I'm not going to just give my life for the rest of my days to a person who does not earn that privilege.
And I want you to keep that same energy when you ask why ain't married yet.
Okay.
Because I take it so seriously.
Okay.
And knowing the fact I've been divorced before, I know what that feels like. I know the things that I overlooked getting married the first time, and it lasted for almost 10 years. I didn't believe that there would be an expiration date to my marriage. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be till death do we part. So now going, hindsight being 2020, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. Now I became a man, I put childish things away. So I recognized who I needed to become in order to create longevity in my marriage, but also now how to scout for the person that I need to go to the Super Bowl with. And so the reality is that I'm sitting back going, okay, I can't choose a wife based on carnality, based on flesh. I got to be able to see her. I have to be able to see her through her exterior. So I have to be able to see, I talk about it by being like a time capsule, that I did this video project for a school district, and they opened up this new building, and they had a time capsule that they put inside the ground. And so they put artifacts in from the year that the school was built, so that 20 years from now, they'll open up the time capsule and look and be like, oh my God, this is what they used to have. It was some AirPods back then. They had this, which is really, really dope. And I said, and God ended up telling me one day, he was saying, that's what marriage is like. You'll lock these memories away that you may meet day 1, day 2, year 5. And then while y'all get to reminisce, you remember that time when we was this, and then it'll ignite. It was an episode that I had. Shout out to Jewel and Tavia. God told me they were on the brink of divorce. They're friends of mine, and they came on the podcast. God said, I want to teach you how to make them fall in love again. What he taught me in that episode is a masterclass. I was in the shower crying and interceding on behalf of them before they came on the podcast. He walked me through how to do it. I took them all the way through from when they first met and how they met and all this type of stuff. And I began to unpack it. Then I went all the way through. We talked about the problems that they have, why they want to get divorced and all that. Then I came all the way to the end and said, now imagine yourself, close your eyes real quick. Christmas, y'all no longer spending Christmas together.
Am I supposed to close my eyes?
No, you ain't supposed to close your eyes. Yeah, you ain't supposed to close your eyes. I said, so here it is. Now Christmas. Now the kids are deciding which one they going to. Thanksgiving. Are they going to go to your house, Jewel? Are they going to go to Tavia's house? And I said, now imagine that right now. And I said, and how do you feel? And with tears in their eyes, they were just like, empty, feel lost. I said, that's what is on the line right now if y'all decide to call it quits. We addressed the issue. Then I said, hey, I'm going to sponsor y'all therapy. I want y'all to go to therapy and all that type of stuff. Now the marriage is thriving. It's absolutely beautiful. But the only way I was able to do that is because I've been through a divorce before. I understand the power of marriage, but I also understand the power of divorce. It's a death. So then when you look at me and you go, why you ain't married yet? Because I want the person that will have my best interest when we say, hey, should we pull the plug on Laterras? No, he's a fighter. Give him about 3 days. He got it. How you know that? I know my husband. I know him. I know him. I know what the pillow talks that we had. And he told me, if I'm ever in this type of situation, give me 3 days. Give me, if the doctor say this, give me 5 days. And then the person saying, wow, my husband prophesied this moment. She has to be a person that can hear from God. Or even if I never said it, that she has to be in tune with God enough for God to be like, no, I know you're seeking me. I want you to wait right now. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Or it may be the best decision. Pull the plug.
Right. You know what? I think that this is on my spirit to say, because you gave her example earlier. I forget her young name, the lady that's a billionaire.
Oh,
and
Fawn Weaver.
Yes, Fawn Weaver. And you asked her the question, would you have built this company without your husband? She said no.
She said I couldn't have.
She couldn't have. I know I would not be where I am today had I gotten married many years ago. I would not be where I am today because my life would have had a cap. And I would have had to focus on my family first. I wouldn't have been able, this has been a very individual journey to get to where I am. And I had to do it in this season of not being a married woman.
Right.
But it doesn't take away, I think sometimes I feel as though men get grace. Men get the grace to show up in this world and to conquer it and to become the highest level that God birthed them to be. But not always women.
I didn't get no grace from you.
Well, I give you grace.
No, you said you don't want to be married.
Again, okay.
Is that grace? You automatically assume I don't want to be married because I'm fulfilling my Adam season where I'm naming the Adams.
I don't want to get lost, but I do want to answer this. What I say to you, and I stand on this, is I feel like your challenge is going to become, you have so many options. And I feel like it's almost like she didn't fit. Okay, the next one's coming. Okay, the next one's coming. And maybe that can be truth. But me personal, I can be wrong. So I'm not God, I'm not absolute. You're going to hate me for saying this, but you know I'm going to say it. I think the title of husband, again, is more important for you than the reality. I think that it goes along with the brand. It goes along with all the things that you preach. And I do believe there's a part of it. But I'm sorry, I just cannot understand how at this moment, every single woman has been to a certain degree disposable.
White, see, that's the language that you use. I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Do you consider yourself a wife?
I could be a wife.
I say could. Do you consider yourself a wife?
I could be a wife because you have to honor my answer because not everybody deserves for me to be their wife.
I didn't say deserve to be their wife. Do you consider yourself a wife?
The answer is I could be one.
Could be one.
Because sometimes you're not going to get a wife out of me because you don't deserve it.
So my response to that response is this. There's no way you can see me as a husband. So
there's no way I can see you as a husband.
No, because listen, this is what you just said. You said that the stuff that you're discerning, listen real quick, the stuff that you said you're discerning about me that you think is accurate.
I also said I'm not absolute, and I said I'm not God.
Exactly.
This is just Kendra's observation.
Exactly.
So
and that's
it doesn't mean it's fact. I've said that a couple times.
And that's why I'm talking to you as Kendra. That's why I said, do you? Because at the end of the day, if the things that you think, because even the language that you're using where you said, what's the word you just used about the women that was what?
Disposable.
Disposable. No woman I ever date is disposable. See, I don't even use that terminology. Every person I date is an experience. It's a healthy experience. They walk away with great experiences. They go, man, this is great. Well, and they still want to be my friends afterwards. So hold on, I just want to address that. Nobody I ever deal with is disposable.
Okay.
It just didn't work out to marriage. But it worked out for the season that it was supposed to be with whatever it was. My ex-wife, who I have admitted that I cheated on multiple times in my marriage, when she talks to me, she says, you're an amazing man. Why? Because of the experience that she had, the sin that I committed. The sins that I did, the lack of care that I had with her heart still doesn't override who I am as a man, to where she literally says, and you're a great dude. You're an amazing man. It's the craziest thing that I've ever experienced, because I'll be like, because I'll see myself, the problem that I have is I see myself as my faults before I see myself as the good, because I'm a perfectionist by nature. But what God has done and has allowed me to see, and the people I've interacted with, they go, of course you're not perfect, but what I see in the experience I have with you overrides anything else that you may have done inaccurate or improper or whatever it is with me. So what I'm saying is that I don't look at people as disposable. We're all on this journey together to learn. If my heart's intent isn't to willingly come into your life to destroy you, cheat on you on purpose, say, I ain't gonna never be faithful, I'm gonna take these vows with you, but I'm gonna cheat on you every step of the way. That's my heart posture. If that was my heart posture, I'm a wicked person. But because when people experience me, whatever things that I do wrong, they go, his heart is in the right place. He just has a weakness in this area. And so when I date people, it's the same thing. As I get a chance to interact with these people, learn these people, experience, I get to add a wrinkle to my brain and learn something. Hopefully I add wrinkles to their brain. They learn something. They go, this was a great experience. And a lot of times people may end up marrying somebody after dating me. They go, you helped me to see the things that I really desire in a husband. It didn't work out with you and I, but I recognize that what I experienced with you, I don't want to let go of. I want that in the next relationship.
So can I jump in? Okay, so I'm not a man, so let me stay there. I want to be as
hopefully not, because this will be an awkward interview.
So, okay, in my experience, I have male friends who are husbands, and I have male friends who I know will never get married, right? And there's key characteristic differences, right? The male friends who don't desire marriage, they date often, and they date under the mindset of, okay, I'm gonna date her, and as soon as something's not right, there's another girl coming. And that's their mindset, right? That's their mindset. They are like, okay, I like you until I don't, and if I don't, there's 1,000 women, so I'll go on to the next. The husbands that are my friends, there's times when they got to take a moment, but there ain't no way out. Now, I always want to be as respectful because I don't know everything that you share, but you was once married. For whatever reason, that marriage is no longer together. But one would challenge, because women get challenged like this on my show. You had a husband. You left that husband because you wanted to find something you thought was better, but you had a husband, but you filed for divorce or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, now you outside and you're trying to find another husband. And sometimes it happens, but these women get judged for leaving the man that was willing to be their husband, because we know there's husbands, there's boyfriends, there's sneaky links, like there's all different, like we're going to break it down, because some men just aren't born to be, and a lot of times the woman really wants the sneaky link to be the husband, but Absolutely. He was never going to be your husband. He's the sneaky link, okay?
Facts.
That's what it is.
That's the job title.
So now going back to you, because you were once married, and again, doesn't mean it can't happen for you again. The odds are in your favor because quantity is in your favor. But one will say...
God is in my favor.
God is in your favor. One will say you had a wife. For whatever reason, there was a difference within that dynamic that y'all decided to go separate ways.
Absolutely.
No judgment. But you had a wife.
Absolutely.
So that could have been the woman you're supposed to go to the death do you part of the valleys, but there was individual decisions that was important, no judgment, that y'all had to part ways for that individuality to grow, because that was important. But y'all put those individual things over the marriage
Absolutely.
that you had. So this is nothing, this is not a judgment conversation. But when I was talking to you as my friend, I feel as though your career is important.
Not really.
Okay. Well, my assessment is wrong. My discernment is his career is important, and the woman that will fit his wifely duties will also have to align with your career. And I just say, not saying it can't happen. Look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, their careers align, right? But the fact of the matter is, how about this? I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to come to your wedding. I want to be there. I'm not trying to be like this person that doesn't believe that you're not deserving. I just feel like you have the buffet issue. And the buffet issue is when you have so many different women to compare, it's hard for you to focus on one and settle down on that one when you've been blessed to be around so many sensational women. Right? So now it's like, dang, she's dope. She don't pray as much as the other girl. I mean, she fine, but she don't praise. Like, it's just like, I just feel like it's going to be a challenge.
And that makes sense in the world. And that just is totally opposite to me. I don't compare women to each other. I literally be like, that's what I'm saying.
I guess I'm wrong.
And listen, when it comes to career, that woman right there know me over 20-something years. I'll change a career in a minute. I don't base stuff on career. I base stuff on purpose. So when you talk about the person, you say career is important. Career ain't important to me. Purpose is. That's why I say it's certain key words that have to be said in order for it to be an agreement in my spirit. Career ain't nothing. Matter of fact, I was in a conversation with a major network when we were going to do a deal with Dear Future Wifey, and they said, "So what happens when you get married?" I said, "Well, I'm a knight, another bachelor, and he'll take over Dear Future Wifey, and then me and my wife will go start something else." They said, "Hold on, stop. So we can do a deal with you right now, and in 3 months you marry somebody else, and you just gonna walk away from it?" I said, "Absolutely."
But why can't you do the show with your wife?
That's what they taught me. But again, I'm going back to where you said that career is important. I was saying, deuces. My whole end goal for up until when I did that conversation was in 2023, was for 3 years was like, this has an expiration date.
So again, you have to, this is why I think we're going in circles, and maybe I missed the answer. When you meet women that could potentially be the woman to make it end of the year, what is the like, is it like, oh, I woke up and her breath stank in the morning?
Nope.
Like, you have to give the clear.
I don't. Because I've
you
said
don't?
it. No, I don't have to give a clear response to it because each
that's
one
why.
of us.
But let me tell you. But that's why I guess I'm lost.
No,
and
because I said it. I told you. I said all of the above. It's situations where you're talking about moving. Hold on, listen, Kendra, because you asked a question, I'll give you the answer.
Okay.
It's situations where moving may not be the best option. We live in 2 different places. Neither one of us willing to move. That's not going to work. Somebody else, like I said, the episode that I really broke down in detail, she ended with me because she said, "I will destroy you. I need healing. I need to go through what I need to go through." She had to go through it wherever she got to go through. And in the process, the thing that you was talking about, the person that's saying, "But I ain't going to let you go." I wasn't going to let her go through that. We can go through therapy together. I can rock with you while you in therapy. I'll go through therapy to deal with how to deal with you while you're going through therapy. That's the heart posture I have. But if it ain't willing to work, it just ain't willing to work. She said this to me, and I've never shared this. She said, "You always said this to me." She said, "This is how I know what to say in order to make you let me go." I said, "Don't say it." She said, "I'm finna say it. I don't think you're my husband. I don't fight for that." When someone says that to me, it's a wrap.
Right.
But she did that to release me. She knew that that's the only thing. I said, if you ever get to a point to where you say, "I'm not your husband," there's no more fight in me. Because I ain't fighting for a wife if I'm not your husband. So the reality, and that's what made me release it. It was the healthiest thing ever. That same person ended up calling me a year and a half later, asking advice about after she went through therapy. And she said, "You know what?" She started comparing me to the guy that she was dating. She said, "We had a solid friendship where you knew everything about me and we could talk about everything. This other guy, he don't have that. He's just all about romance and all that, but he don't know me." She said, "I missed what we had." I said, "And you're exactly where you're supposed to be."
Well, no, you know what? And I think, and maybe I'll have more compassion for you. But let me say this, because I'm just going again, I host a dating show.
Right.
Kendra G Singles is the name of the dating show. The dating app is Kendra G Singles. But I had a guy recently that was on the show, and when he was on the show last year, he got, and this is not an exaggerating, 8,000 DMs. 8,000. It kept going. It is there in the comments. He fit the aesthetics to what most women say he wanted. So he came back on recently, and someone in the comments think about this. And he's had 8,000 DMs, came to a singles mixer, but yet still is single. Now, most women don't say they have 8,000 men to choose from, because then it's because then you're going to say, okay, if you got this many people to choose from, nobody was good enough, because then it becomes to, well, what are you looking for if you have all these options, so many, and okay, granted, we'll let's just take half, 4,000. They didn't fit you. Yep. Okay. Then we'll go down. Okay, 2,000. So now we got 1,000. Good job, smell good, whatever. We'll do. And still isn't it? So again, I'm not God. I never pretend to know it all. I never pretend to know it all. But I feel like men who say they want to be husbands, the challenge I said earlier is it's the buffet. It's okay, another thing can be coming. The marriages that I know that have lasted for a long time have gone through the hard times. It wasn't like some might be an outside child, but they're still married. Might have been infidelity or whatever the case may be, but they stayed married. It's like the Will and Jada is extreme, but in the extreme of it, they're still married, right? They're just the famous couple that we use because if I say Will and Jada, everybody says, but at the end of the day, guess what?
They're still married.
They're still married. And I feel like that's what's getting lost when people say they want what our grandparents had. They stayed married no matter what. And I don't feel as though our generation operates with that mindset. And the best thing to do is if you know that that's not you, then don't even enter into that covenant. Like, don't even play with it. If you know that is something outside of what really matters to you is more important, then don't assign your life to that person's life.
And so let me say this as we get ready to wrap up, because the interesting thing about this, and then God just revealed that to me, you're trying to assess me through the lens you're trying to assess me through the lens of the typical guy.
Let me ask you this question. Why does it matter to you? But I want to get this because we spend a lot of time here. Why does it matter to you so much what I think?
It don't. That's what I'm about to tell you. Watch when I wrap up.
Okay.
Listen,
but you spend a lot of time challenging, convincing me.
You kept asking.
No, I was trying to move on and you said.
No, you kept asking.
Wait till y'all watch this. You're going to watch this back and you're going to see he go back to say, well, just what you said about me. Because in hindsight, this is what I always say, I'm not God. My opinion at the end of the day shouldn't even matter to you.
And that's why if you listen about what I'm about to wrap up, is the way you kept assessing me is based upon what you hear from other guys. I'm not those guys. I have kingdom purpose over my life as it relates to love and relationships and marriage. This platform has grown exponentially, not because I'm great at marketing, not because I did a marriage right and now I'm teaching people how to do marriage right. It's because I did marriage wrong and I laid my face at the altar and said, God, now teach me how to cause a revival in the world so that people can hear from you and be guided properly on how to love well and how to marry well. If you don't think that God has to fashion somebody, a suitable helper for me, knowing what I've been able to do in my single season and what God wants to do once I get married with my purpose partner that's going to 10x everything, has nothing to do with finances, has something to do with the work of the Lord in this earth, that God has fashioned a unique individual that will come alongside of me and we will blow this thing up for the glory of the Lord. Has nothing to do with numbers, has nothing to do with money, it has everything to do with what the Lord wants to impart in this world through love, relationships, and marriage. So then when you ask the question, that's why when you say, why do I care about what you say? I really don't. I just love that this conversation can happen so that people who may have some of the same questions that you have, they get a chance to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Right. So I allowed you to flip the interview on me because I said we can talk about it.
I wasn't trying to flip the interview.
You didn't try to, but you did. But listen.
Okay.
So what I'm simply saying is that I allowed you to ask those questions because of how rooted I am in my experience. The experience is Albanier and his wife had Amber, they were on the podcast, and she said that God told her that basically when he does it for her, brings her husband, she's going to know that it was nobody but God that could have done it. When you look at the numbers, and you look at the numbers of whatever I have on social media and all that, I got 1.4 million followers across all platforms. Why he can't find a wife with that? Because God ain't said it's time yet. If I'm truly submitted to God, and I say, God, not my will, but let thy will be done. And then I'll have stuff with my own intentions to say, and I want to be married by the end of this year because as a man, I can decree and declare what I want. And then if it don't happen, I ain't gonna be like, well, God, you lied to me. God said you made up that timetable. But the reality is, it's still letting people know I'm in the heart posture that I want to be. If you hear me stop saying I want to be married, then be worried because that means I'm for the streets. As long as you keep hearing me say I want to be married, that is my heart posture as a husband. So the reality is that I know what God says and I'm submitted to what God says, and I can only move when he tells me to move. It's people that I thought was my wife, people that I was like, this could be a great person. And I move with intentionality and it don't work out 2 or 3 months later. I don't cry about it. I say, okay, God, that wasn't the one. And it's not always motivated by me ending it.
But can I jump in? So I want to just say this. One thing I do want to correct. We have a friendship.
Absolutely.
So no, my assessment wasn't really off of other male experiences. It's about our experience. And one thing I said earlier, and I told you this earlier, like my friend QDZ, who's been married for 16 years, he said, if people are serious about marriage, they shouldn't talk about a ring or a wedding day until 5 years from now. So I say that to say a lot of women fantasize about the wedding day and the ring. And in our conversations, the things that you talk about when you talk about marriage, at the end of the year, I'm going to have a wedding. I'm going to have this ring. It's the symbols. But to me, those are just the shiny things that really don't have anything to do with marriage. And I would just challenge you, and I could be wrong, take those things out of the equation. It's not about the ring. It's not about the wedding date. Those are just the celebrations. It's about you finding that woman that you feel like, this is my life partner. I'm going to align myself with. Could you marry her without giving her a ring? Could you marry her without having a big celebration that people on YouTube get to wait, hold on, let me finish, get to watch. Now when people start talking like that, then I feel like, yeah, they're really talking about marriage. They're not talking about the symbols of marriage. And I feel like, if I can speak in this moment, you talk a lot about the symbols of marriage, because you go to the end of the year, we having this wedding day. That doesn't matter.
No, I did not say I'm getting married. See, your ear is trained to hear something that's not accurate.
You told me you were getting a wedding.
What that got to do with the marriage?
That's the celebration.
In this whole conversation, because you want me to base my life on what QDZ said. I don't lie with what he said.
I'm not saying
no,
that.
No, but you're saying the fact that I want to have the fact that I desire a wedding is improper.
Are we arguing?
Yes. So the reality is this. So in the whole conversation, nothing I ever said about a ring, nothing I ever said about a wedding.
You did talk about a ring.
No, I did not say that.
Okay.
You said that.
Okay.
I talked about purpose, kingdom work. That's what I'm saying. Your ear is trained to hear something I'm not saying. Nowhere in this whole interview. We also have
a friendship too, and there's things that we've talked about outside of here.
I know, but even outside that, I don't care about no ring and that stuff. I'm talking about everything.
You've never bought a ring?
Yes, I ain't bought no ring.
Oh, okay.
I ain't never bought no ring for nobody. That's because earlier in the interview you said, and this ring that you have, girl, I just thought you was joking. I was like, I ain't bought no ring for nobody. Okay. Because I'm never, and that's another reason I will never go pre-purchase a ring for somebody.
Okay.
Because that means I'm not even getting her weigh in on what type of diamond cut that she wants and all that. She has full, I didn't just go lay out our life without her permission. I'm not goofy like that. Chicago word. So the reality is, she gets to pick whatever ring she wants. She gets to determine how the wedding. I don't care about all that stuff. What I'm talking about is purpose, the vision. Nothing in this letters, I've written over 200 letters, talks about materialistic stuff. Not one time. Everything is about purpose. Matter of fact, you didn't even hear the letter, which you talked about. I was writing the letter.
To his invisible wife.
To this invisible wife, you said, listen to this. Dear future wifey, this is a year we finally crossed paths, not just in passing, not just as acquaintances, but as two souls ready to walk in divine alignment. I can feel it in my spirit. Every lesson I've learned, every moment of waiting, every test of faith has been preparing me for you, and you, my love, have been preparing for me. I don't know exactly when or how it will happen, but I know that when our eyes meet with true intention, something will shift. The weight of past heartbreaks will feel lighter. The doubts will dissolve, and the deep knowing, the kind that only God can place in our hearts, will settle in. I've been intentional about becoming the man of God, the man God called me to be, a husband worthy of the love I've prayed for. And I trust that you have been on your own journey of becoming the woman I've longed for. Our love will not be rushed, nor will it be forced. It will flow, effortless, yet powerful, like a river destined for the ocean. This year we meet. This year we begin. This year, the chapter of you and me is written by the author of love himself. And I promise, when you come into my life, I will recognize you not just by your beauty, your grace, or your presence, but by the way you make my spirit feel at home. I am ready.
Girl, we are ready for you, child. Please come. Please.
Has nothing to do with finances, all the other stuff. Has something to do with purpose. Everything I am, you got to think, I've been married before. I know what it feels like to split up assets. That stuff means nothing. I know what it feels like to have a lot of money and then have to file bankruptcy while you married. That stuff ain't nothing. When I'm talking about being rooted and grounded in purpose and knowing that you can be submitted to overcoming your hurts, habits, and hangups, be able to cover each other. The Bible says that love covers the multitude of sins. knowing that that person is going to frustrate you, that person is going to disappoint you, but can your love cover the multitude of sins? That's the heart posture that I am. Has nothing to do with a wedding, has nothing to do with a wedding ring. It has something to do with the alignment of my heart to hers as we are having a triangle love affair with me, her, and God. And that's what brings us together. And so that's what I'm trying to fashion your ear, that when you hear me speak about my future wifey, it's not some imaginary person. This is a woman that God has been fashioning since the beginning of time that will converge. We will have a Kairos moment. A Kairos moment is a God-ordained moment where it happens, and she and I will meet in this Kairos moment where we do purpose together and cause great impact across this world.
So 2 things, and I said this earlier. You just said it. You said you're trying to fashion my ear. You don't got to fashion my ear.
No, I'm talking about when you as a friend, though, because if you keep speaking about me as a friend as improper, that means you're not listening.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I can have my assessment, and my assessment can be wrong because it doesn't matter to your reality, right? So you don't have to read a letter. You don't have to convince Kendra G of anything because you're like,
it's just giving more information. So, for instance, if you're saying I've had conversations with you and you talk about a ring, well, I say I never talked about that. What are you talking about? That means you're misrepresenting what you've heard me say.
That could be true, but at the end of the day, here's the deal. I don't work hard to convince anybody to see my vision on what I know for me, right? Let me get this out. There's people who think they know me so well. I don't care because guess what? I know me, right? So your assessment is your assessment. At the end of the day, I'm the one that wakes up and goes to bed with Kendra G. So what I would say what matters most to me is our friendship. So if I said anything that you felt disrespected, you're just okay.
Whatsoever. No,
so I
love sure, stuff like this.
Okay.
I told you I like this.
Okay, yeah. So I want to make sure that that's what matters most to me. I do still stand on certain beliefs, but guess what? It doesn't matter.
Of course.
Nothing that I think
but this
says
is an
matters.
interview. That's the reason why.
Right.
You ain't somebody that's in my DMs that I can ignore. We're having that conversation.
And you also said that you've heard what I said before.
I've heard women say he don't want nobody, and I'll be like, wait. Like, don't believe me, just watch. It's the reality. It's like, you can feel whatever you feel.
Well, listen, I told you, I already listen, girlfriend, I already told you. Well, I'm ready. If y'all ain't ready, I'm ready. I'm on a water diet. I'm going to look good. I got the makeup artist. We is ready for this.
So, Kendra,
yes.
You ain't got all out the whole interview about yourself.
This is
so,
amazing.
in summation about you,
okay.
You saying that, where are you on the spectrum when it comes to marriage?
I believe my happiness and my spiritual well-being trumps everything, right? So again, I don't play with marriage. I do take it serious. So because I don't play with it, I have to meet a person where all things align. Marriage is very individual. Now, the 20-year-old Kendra I was talking about before, this is a whole different Kendra. I can't not think about marriage without thinking about business. It's just my reality, right? It's just impossible. I run a company, so there's so many things.
So we think about marriage and business. Go ahead and sum it up so we can wrap up. When you say I cannot think about marriage without thinking about business.
Here's the reality. I don't wake up this is where we differ. Marriage, if I don't get married, I'm okay with that. Like, it's like my relationship status is not my worth, right? My worth is how do I show up? How do I show up in this world? Am I a good person? Am I happy? I don't want to go deep, but I watched my mother die. And when my mother died, that really taught me the essence of death. Now, I done lost jobs. I've been broken up with. I done got through it all. But when my mother died and watched her take her last breath, that was the bullet that got through the bulletproof vest that God gave me. And I was suicidal. I did not want to live. I never thought I would laugh again. I thought being happy would be an insult to my mother to learn how to live life without her. And I remember I was like, God, if I'm going to stay here on this planet, life got to be great. He's like, say less. And as time has progressed, I knew that me living was important for my mother. She didn't want me to be on this planet soaking. So I say this to say, I'm not going to waste a day in sorrow because I'm not married, because I'm not a mother. Today might be my last day. I like to make it to the end of the week, but there's no guarantee. So every moment I'm in, this is why you see Kendra happy. This is why you see her living a full life, because I know the opposite, which is death. So the difference for me is that's not what I think about every day. What I think about is am I in a spiritual well-being moment? Because I could be married. I can be married. Would I be happy? I don't know. I don't think so, actually. I don't think I've met, and these are wealthy men. Because people say, oh, you can't marry the man you want. No, I can marry the man you want because all y'all focus on is money, aesthetics. I could be married to that. I could have the man of your dreams, girlfriend.
I could have the man of your dreams.
Because he's the man of your dreams. He's not the man of mine, because I know the reality of what comes along with that. And I'm not going to be somebody's wife just to say I have a husband and I'm crying at night because I'm not being fed spiritually.
Absolutely.
Or I'm crying at night because my husband might be doing something he shouldn't be doing. But I signed up for it, because if I decide to marry a person as who they are, I got to put on my big girl pants and said, that's the deal I made. And I'm not going to make that deal just to appease the world. I'm never going to get married for a business plan, because everyone's like, if I was a gimmick, like the reason I'm successful is because I'm not a gimmick. I really have a passion of connecting people. You know, I sit on a side where I talk to people like Laterras, who, you know, we put you on a pedestal, and everybody should be put on a pedestal, but maybe somebody that's not as educated or as successful or knows the Bible as well. I ain't gonna never, don't ever challenge them. The Bible, child, you not gonna win. So I ain't even gonna do that. But with a person, I know the world is very different. So for me and my own personal walk, if I'm open-minded to it, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Like, no love lost.
Your mom passed away what year, March 29th?
My mother passed away 2012. So what are we, 2025? So it's 13 years.
13 years.
And it really changed me, because I remember I have an uncle, and I was really gone. Like when my mother died, and I'm not even like, if you ever lost someone that you love so much, you know, only thing I will say, God was so gracious that me and my sisters got to be around her when she took her last breath. So I got to see like, oh, this is what we really are, spirit and a body. Like, we're really not body. We're really spirit and a body. Because I watch, you know, if you ever watch death, you know, it's a long transition. Yeah, it's a long breath. It's like two long breaths, and then it's like one long breath, and then
release of the spirit.
It's a release of the spirit. So watching that, it was like, wow. And my mother is like she was my girl. That was my favorite human. I don't think I've ever loved a person as much as I loved my mother. And I don't want to get teary-eyed.
No, you good.
But it just taught me, it's everything of who I am, because I think people are like, Kendra, you live this loud life. It's like, yeah, because I know one day it's not going to be here. You know, I really do live, I try to anyways, like today is my last. So if I have to go to Jesus this weekend, I'm empty. And when you look back on the reel, you be like, she had a good time that weekend. And this is why you can't wait till your wedding day to have a good time. You got to have a good time right now, because right now is the only time that's promised. Period. The end. So when people try to give you your worth can't be based on your relationship status. It can't be related based on your career status. It just got to be based on your human status. Can you breathe? Can you inhale? Can you exhale? Find a way to be happy, whatever the dynamic of your life is. And with that being said, wife, Laterras.
Don't flip it back on me.
Hurry up, girl.
No, flip it back on me. But thank you for your vulnerability in that. Rihanna, where we at? 2 hours?
Yep. We're at 2 hours? We
2
did?
hours and what?
2 hours and 5 seconds.
Oh my God, we went for 2 hours and 5 seconds. So I made it to the 2 hour category.
You made 2 hour category.
Are you going to edit me down?
I ain't going to edit down.
Okay, but I thought Laterras, I'm so happy. I was getting nervous. I said, he about to call his sister to beat me up, child. I was like, please, brother Laterras, I take it all back.
No, listen. No, I do like that. That's the whole point. Now, I wanted to get more about your personal life, but you already told me that, you know, certain stuff you don't want to talk about.
Well, I would just say, as in my personal life, the overall blanket is, I'm enjoying myself. Like, exactly. You know, I'm a single woman. I'm dating.
And you date.
I date.
You got anybody you interested in?
No.
So when you date,
can I say this? And this is the truth.
She said no.
I attract a lot of goofies. And let me just be honest. I attract a lot of cloud chasers. See, the thing is, you really got to know me to know me. And all men, the one thing, like, I don't attract broke men. Like, they all are successful in some way, right? But to me, like, they show up like very, like, and I guess I'm loud too, like, I like to look nice, but I'm so much deeper, right? So they feel like, yeah, I'm a match. Like, a lot of men feel like they the prize. So, you know, that turns me off immediately. I've never seen a relationship dynamic work when the guy was the prize, and like I've never seen it. Like every relationship I saw
I just
work.
hate all that terminology about prizes and stuff.
Yeah, but just like if you feel like going in, this woman is lucky to have you. What happens is whatever you give her, you feel like you're giving her a gift because she's lucky to even get that gift. I've dated men like that. They're like, at least I'm your boyfriend. What, boy? Are you kidding me? Like, so I get to be the girl to say you're my man and that's my consolation prize. No other girl can say that. Like what? So I attract, and maybe there's, and I get why I attract goofies, because most people just see the makeup, the hair, the clothes. I'm so much deeper, right? So I always say that the type of guy that really is for me, and I'm not trying to be offensive, my lifestyle might be too expensive because I feel like I meet a lot of good men, right? But it's like, yo, this is how I live, and I like my life. Like I like my modest lifestyle.
Did you say modest?
Well, see,
no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Okay, let me just be Kendra.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm a big thinker. Like I said, I was engaged. I was engaged to a good man. He was a good man, but I was just too ambitious for the relationship. Like,
So you really look at the lifestyle you live as modest?
No. I'm saying the guy's lifestyle is modest.
Oh.
No, my lifestyle is not modest.
I was about to say,
I know that. No,
Oh.
I know my lifestyle. That's the challenge. That like there could be a good guy that just be like, I think you're dope, but I just can't afford that. And then the guy that can afford me is a goofy. So I got the guy that can
So why does a guy have to afford your lifestyle?
Well, let's just say, he doesn't have to afford my lifestyle, but he has to be able, I don't want to bring money into this, but the reality is, unless I'm willing to come down a notch, like I live in.
Why are you coming down?
Because let's say he can't afford to, like, let's just say it's not his reality, right? Like I live in California. Let's say he doesn't live in California. Is he buying a plane ticket every weekend? That costs. Is he making time in his schedule? That costs. I might have to go to a gala. Going to a gala just alone from the outfit, the hair, the makeup, that could be twice in a month. That costs. So the unfortunate thing is there is a money factor we can't hide from. Now, I'm not, but here's the thing. I feel like I'm a blessed woman, right? So I'm not a woman that is like, listen, if you are sewing into my life and I just, like, if I want to enjoy myself and okay, I got the gala ticket and you're accompanying me, I don't mind doing that. Of course. But you have to show up. Like you said, a lot of men, the challenge is the emotional intelligence. Right. That's the challenge, right? Yeah. Like even if I'm willing to say like, okay, I want to live this way, I've been blessed, so I'll cover that bulk of the bill. There's still requirements I'm going to need. Like you're going to have to be a faithful man. You still, like imagine me paying the bills and you cheating. Boy, I'm going to jail. Only reason I'm not in jail because I love my wigs too much. And I heard that they got a no wig policy in the penitentiary. But you got to be crazy if I'm going to pay the high mortgage and you are playing in my face. Oh, I'm going to tell the judge, I'm going to need a trial. I did it.
Kendra.
Yes.
How much you pay for this apartment?
Oh, we can't talk about that.
You can't talk about that?
We can't talk. See, you're my friend for real. I have because nobody, see, that's where it gets, no, we cannot share.
So I'm saying when you talk about a guy coming into your life, do you expect for him to subsidize your lifestyle?
No, well, listen, here's the deal. There's men that can, but then I
ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the guy that you really want. The one so the guy, you meet a guy, y'all align spiritually, emotionally, all this type of stuff, but he's not making near the type of money that you're making. And I'm saying you don't have to come down from your lifestyle. Right. Do you bring him into your lifestyle?
I can, but here's the reality. There are some men who take pride in being men. And
we're talking about that. We're talking about the one that you get, the one that says, listen, we are aligned. You make more money than me. It is what it is, but I provide everything else you need emotionally that you have not experienced in your life. You love me, I love you. Are we going to allow the finances that you've been blessed with in your lifestyle to prohibit us from loving each other?
No, I would not.
That's it.
I would not. If that human being was walking the planet and really, because it's because what he would offer would be invaluable.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I do know that it would be invaluable. I have met people, and again, we talked about marriage, right? So I've had relationships where we aligned for a season, right? But then in the next season, those things started to become issues, right? So I never used intimidation. What I just learned is
She said intimidation.
No, I don't like that word because I don't think it's fair to say a man's intimidated. Although there are some, but that's more so what I've learned is sometimes I just go back to the ambition, right?
Yeah.
And I only use celebrities because we all know them. And people hate when I use Beyonce, but I love Beyonce. But who Beyonce is she had to be with a man like Jay-Z because she's so big. Like she had to be with a person that could allow her to grow beyond measure and become this being in the world. To suppress her would be unfair to her.
So why you think suppressing, and this is what I'm saying.
Okay. But you have to, but Laterras, you have to honor this moment because maybe
I am. That's why I'm listening to it.
Because maybe a man like you, but you also are confident and you have built your own merit and you're still building your own merit and you stand firm in who you are. That's not every man's truth. And there are some men who can't stand by a woman that shines brighter than them.
And I heard that a whole lot.
Like there's some men
I hear that a lot.
So what they try to do is they try to minimize your light so they can handle it. I am not dimming my light for nobody on earth. Not a man, not a mama, not your grandmama, not the cousin. I have earned the right to show up to God made me to be to my highest power. So if there is a man, take finances out of it, who doesn't have the finance and can appreciate that, and I have met men that have, then the challenge became couldn't be faithful. So you know what I'm saying? There's a man that I dated who for the most part I felt was aligned with things that I need.
Right.
But the wow factor was he couldn't be faithful. And I can't do that. I know I can't be with a man. If you need, shout out to Neo. I don't even I know Neo in real life. It's not for me, but what I respect for Neo, he's transparent.
He's transparent. Giving you an option to choose.
I can't get mad at being transparent. But no, I can't be the breadwinner and you cheating. I'm in jail. Laterras, can I use you for the 911 call? I paid the mortgage that was quite expensive and I'm in jail. I'm with Jesus. Like that's it. Cause I'm gonna be at a Whitney Houston concert. Cause heaven is popping. Luther Vandross there. I'm gonna go see Aaliyah, 1 in a Million. I'm gonna go check out Biggie. Me and my mama gonna talk about all the gossip.
You gonna see Tupac?
Yep. I'm gonna go see Biggie first, then Tupac, cause Tupac made me mad. But I'm gonna be like, so that's why all those things. So it's unfortunate, but not unfortunate.
And so what I was just chiming in on is that when you compare the Jay-Z situation, I just don't want to be where it took another guy. The only way that she could excel would be somebody else that makes as much money or more than she does in order for her to thrive. No,
more so what I was thinking is he's richer, right? So she's more, Beyonce's the bigger star, but Jay-Z's richer, right? So when she's talking about, I gotta spend $4 million this weekend, he doesn't bulk. Like there's times, and again, we're not giving out numbers, but sometimes I'll tell you a number, you be like, what? Like what? And so it gotta be a person that doesn't say what, because honestly, I feel as though, I walk in this planet. Shout out to Tyler Perry. I know we are so over in time, but I just believe as a human being, see, white men have the privilege to have big billionaire dreams. They try to suppress black women in particular for having big financial dreams. And I just believe that God is my father. He owns the earth and I have the Bank of God, not the Bank of America. So I'm not going to suppress that, right? But some people can't handle it. Like, I don't want to throw out numbers because I feel like that's where everything gets messy.
That's where it starts going viral.
But I need people to not bulk when I say, okay, this is what we're trying to do this weekend and it costs this much. And you like, that's... I'm like,
but still, I keep thinking that we have unrealistic expectations of humans. It still should be that. It's the reality.
No, it shouldn't be.
It can be. It's like, but what's wrong with that? If you're talking to somebody, and for instance, if you may talk to Warren Buffett, and he makes all these millions of dollars, but he ain't never spent no $1,000 on some shoes. And you sit there and say, well, I spent $1,000 shoes. He look at you like that. And it's like, it's not that he couldn't afford it. He's saying, for some shoes?
But Warren, but here's the deal. This is why I said earlier, you got to remember, I'm a woman that speaks to all people, right? So I have people who are very, very wealthy. And then people who are not as wealthy. And one thing I've learned the most, it really is a mindset. Like, you can have $0 in a bank, but a wealthy person with a mindset is going to figure it out. It's just the way they're wired.
Absolutely.
And there's times I'm not my richest friend, right? I'll share this one example, and I know we got to go, but I think this is important. So I have people coming to me all the time said, find me a man, Kendra, find me a man. And my friends who do well in life, I'm like, yo, there's men who want to be husbands, but they just can't afford you. Like, I've had men come on my show and they're like, yo, I make $80K a year. No, I make $80K. Like, the budget's $80K. That's what I said. The budget's $80K. And then my girlfriend said, a month?
A month?
And I said, no, like, that's what he makes the year. She's like, my overhead is more than that in a month. But that's her reality. That's like and you can't get mad at her reality being her reality, but here's the challenge. So now a man who could afford a woman who has a $80K, above of
lifestyle.
what she lifestyle. Well, because she also runs a company. There's factors, but that's who she is in this world. Only a man that makes so much money can afford that. Now, what happens is that man can afford a lot of you.
That's what I'm about to say.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, this man can afford you and your sister and your friend and your cousin, but you only want him to be with you. And the difference is that man that makes that money, he don't mind dating a girl who makes less money.
Exactly.
You're the woman at the disadvantage because you only want to date him. You got to date like him. Date the guy that wants to date you.
Now you're teaching. So that's what I'm saying. Now you're bringing stuff to a reality.
But I said that earlier. Well, I don't like reality because reality is subjective.
No, it's a reality. A reality is what is not subjective. It's saying this is the reality. Can you have a variation of it? Absolutely. But the reality is, yes, with men like that have options.
But let me say this to reality. That's why I don't like people should respect other people's realities, because what happens is we're on social media and we're looking at other people and we're judging, saying that's not reality. No, it's not reality to you. Right now, there's a homeless person looking at you and saying, why you got 2 rooms? You know what I'm saying? There's a homeless person judging you saying, you don't need 2 rooms.
No, the reality I'm speaking about is the reality of saying that you want this, but this is the reality of guys that's like that. That's the reality.
Right.
Not saying that she can't have it, but also taking the factor. It's called statistics for a reason, because, hey, the statistics show that guys, there's only X amount of percentage of men, when you was talking about the 5'9" situation where I felt attacked because I'm 5'9". But the reality is this, is that if you want a guy that's 6 foot such and such, and you want him to be black, and you want to make him 6 figures, the statistics show it start dwindling down. You want 0.3%. And it's like, that's the reality. And it's like, the reality is that what you're saying you want it, this is what that is. And you decide if you want that 0.3%, or do you want to broaden the expect. And then I always ask people, and how has that worked out for you so far?
But I will say this though, back to reality. People gotta allow people to be happy in their life, right? So what happens is we're saying, a girl might say, listen, I'm cool. Like, I'm sitting here saying, I'm not diminishing myself. And if that means I don't get married, I'm okay. I'm still happy. So what happens is people try to attack people and say, that's why you ain't got no man, because you was focused on your career. And it's like, well, Goofy, I would rather be married to Donald Duck before I be married to a Goofy. Like, listen, without the money or with the money, I still don't want to be with you, right? And stop trying to break down women and trying to use, like, because they became successful and because the only way you can attack them is because she's not married or because she doesn't have any children. So now what's really is you're projecting because you're not happy. I want to say this before we go. Like, I have a lot of phones, as you said in the beginning. Most of my phones have no notifications, right? But one has, I have social media. So like my YouTube notifications was on, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. My phone is going off from my YouTube notifications. And I go to the comment section and this guy says, well, that's, even though you got money and you got a career and you got clothes, that's why you ain't got no man. That's why you lonely. And I'm looking at my phone. Sir, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm the lonely one. Go get you a dial and get off my page. You the one lonely. You're the one projecting on my YouTube page at 2:00 in the morning because you're not laying next to a woman or a woman you want because you so busy worried about who I'm laying next to. So what's happening is people got to respect people's happiness. This is what I was saying earlier. If a man is not in a relationship, he gets respect from other men. Men will also say, why should he get in a relationship? He's successful. He got all these women. He shouldn't be tied down with one woman. Now, if a woman, nobody ain't want you. Why can't you respect she good though? Like she good, she's happy. You know she's happy because you follow her every move. She don't even know you. So I think that to bring it full circle, yeah, maybe you don't get married or maybe you don't get into a long-term relationship, but that doesn't
define who you are.
Define who you are or measure your worth.
Absolutely.
Measure your worth by happiness, because people can be married and be miserable. Marriage could be a beautiful thing or a nightmare.
Absolutely.
And I think only get into marriage if you feel it's going to be a beautiful thing and not the nightmare.
Absolutely.
Am I your longest? I told you we was going to.
You about to be.
I told you we was going to be. I told you.
I know it. So let me wrap it
We
up.
friends though, because there was a moment in this interview, child, where I thought we was not friends. We still friends, right? I was nervous, child, because I was like, he pulling out the Bible, pull out his phone. I was like, he about to call his sister, because I know, okay.
No. So as I was saying, thank you so much, Kendra G.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up as your authentic self, which I didn't expect anything less.
Yes.
I hear you loud and clear about what you desire as it relates to marriage. And in summation, I'm going to clear it up so you can know I heard you properly. When you talk about marriage, you're talking about you are not defined by marriage.
Right.
You're defined by your value and who God placed you on this earth to be, with or without a man.
Right.
You understand marriage to be so important that when you do, and if you do decide to get married, we best believe is somebody that is aligned with you spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, financially, everything, where it is God's best. And that's the only way that you will say, I do to this person. It's not going to be about the ring. It's not going to be about the wedding. You may end up adopting the ideology of what your friends suggest and maybe have a wedding later, the big celebration later, and maybe even get a ring later, if that's of importance to you. I also heard you say that when it comes to marriage, not only is it the gravity of it so important, but the fact that it was something I was about to say. It was something I was about to say that escaped me about the celebration of it. I just lost it. It was something that you said, and I was like, because you was going so good. I was like, you're talking about me, child? Because I'm hearing what you're saying. Everything that you're saying is absolutely right. So,
but do you agree that everybody's not a husband and everybody's not a wife?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. He has to find a wife. Everybody's not a wife. Everybody's not a husband.
And do you believe that if you don't get married and if you don't become a husband, you still can be an amazing person?
Marriage does not define who you are.
Okay.
Because that's aligned with who I am. And that's the reason why I said, be careful of how you even speak about me. Because if you're saying, I desire this, and if I didn't do that, then evidently something I don't want it, then that means that what you're saying to me is saying that because I'm still single and I'm not married, then I'm choosing wrong, something's wrong, I'm picky or whatever. And it's like, no, what if I'm just not married yet?
Well, I will say this. You do have your wife will be a blessed woman. Because I do believe you would honor her, you would feed her spiritually. She won't have to have all this worry that, men are trying to manipulate women to sign up for. Like, I'm a man, I'm supposed to have more than one woman. Like, you don't gotta worry about you being in the club. I think that you're so healed that the woman that you give the honor to becoming your wife, she will be a blessed woman.
Amen.
She will be.
And I want to be that in return. But Kendra, thank you so much for your willing heart to have this conversation and flip this interview on me like people who do interviews do. Rihanna, thank you for your patience for sitting through this interview. And at times you probably like, can y'all cut this off?
Right, Rihanna, was it good? She got to tell me after.
And so the reality is I just love the banter, and no, we still friends. Okay. I like conversations like that.
Can I shout out my dating app?
Yes, do.
Okay, don't forget to download the dating app. Kendra G Singles is on. I'm a real black girl in the real black world, in the tech world.
Yes.
iPhone and Android phones. And listen, I put my money where my mouth is. I am my sole investor, and it ain't cheap.
He
knows numbers. We are not sharing numbers.
No.
But yeah, I want to close it, not to close it, but Tyler Perry inspired me to be an entrepreneur. He said, be the owner. You don't got to be the employee. So support your black sister. Kendra G Singles is the name of the dating app. And people have gotten married from my show.
Good. Y'all give it for my homie, Kendra G. Follow on all social media platforms.
Kendra G Media.
It'll be linked in the bio.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
You feel exhausted. Thank God my wig didn't come off, child, because I was glued down.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey.
And writing these love letters to you.
Ladarian thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras R. Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. Man, I really enjoyed this episode. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, this is a year we finally crossed paths, not just in passing, not just as acquaintances, but as 2 souls ready to walk in divine alignment. I can feel it in my spirit. Every lesson I've learned, every moment of waiting, every test of faith has been preparing me for you. and you, my love, have been preparing for me. I don't know exactly when or how it will happen, but I know that when our eyes meet with true intention, something will shift. The weight of past heartbreaks will feel lighter. The doubts will dissolve, and the deep knowing, the kind that only God can place in our hearts, will settle in. I've been intentional about becoming the man God called me to be, a husband worthy of the love I've prayed for, and I trust that you have been on your own journey of becoming the woman I've longed for. Our love will not be rushed, nor will it be forced. It will flow, effortless yet powerful, like a river destined for the ocean. This year, we meet. This year, we begin. This year, the chapter of you and me is written by the author of love himself. And I promise, when you come into my life, I will recognize you not just by your beauty, your grace, or your presence, but by the way you make my spirit feel at home. I am ready. Your future hubby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.